What's up, everybody? Welcome, all you early birds. Let's put it on the main. Actually, let's do this. Let me put you on the main screen for a second. There we go. How's it going, everybody? Good to see you. Decided I was going to do a little bit of a holiday stream just to hang out. You know, do something fun with everybody since it's post-holiday. A bunch of y'all are probably sitting around. Actually, I say post-holiday for some. Kind of depends on what you're into, what it is that you celebrate. But I'm sure most people have the day off. And if you're like the Pacific Northwest right now, we're kind of snowed in a little bit. So I wasn't going to be doing anything, and I figured, why shouldn't we just do some commandery stuff today? I'm going to be deck building, and I figured, might as well get on and share it with everybody, because why not? So, Komodo, thank you for becoming a follower, Komodo. Thank you for joining the channel. I just saw that this morning, so thank you for that. Nicodemus Bain, hello. Hey, Davy J. Thanks for following me over here to the YouTubes. I'm sure there'll be a few people who hop in here in a little bit, but this is something different, you know? I kind of wanted to first sort of set the ground rules, right? This isn't something I'm building to min max, if you will, Commander. Because I saw a lot of people when I posted, like, oh, I'd love to see like a better version. And both, it's like, that's not what I'm doing here. Like, I build Commander decks for fun. Like, genuinely, I've had one Commander deck since the beginning of the format. Like, whatever, 15 years ago or whatever it is, right? And part of that has just been me rotating cards in and out of that deck. Not for any particular strategy, just whatever I find fun at any given time. Or if I want to try a different theme, I just do. So it's a bit different, right? I don't play, hey, Alexander, I don't play competitive Commander. Like, it's just not my style, so I don't build for that. And up until recently, I'd never played another Commander deck, like, I guess we want to call it publicly, either at an event or live streaming or whatever. I had only ever played my Rift deck, right? Of the like 15 different versions it's been, but my Rift, the Awakener deck, that's all I played. And then I bought some collections over the last couple years. And sometimes people just have commander decks in there, right? So generally I'd been tearing them apart and then either save the cards for myself or sell them or whatever it is I'm going to do with them. But recently I decided, what if I just take their decks, fix them up a little bit for my liking, and then I just have another commander deck? One, so if I ever go somewhere and somebody else wants to play, I have another deck on hand, whenever that is. Or I can just have something fun to play that's a different thing. Like if I play on stream with somebody for content, I don't have to play the same deck 2 or 3 games, right? I could swap between them. So it ended up with me having a Saheeli deck, and it's okay. Like it's blue-red, make a bunch of little artifact creature tokens and do all that. And it's a totally different style of deck, and it's fine. But one of the other ones I decided to keep was a sliver deck. However, it was built very poorly, and it was missing several of the obvious cards that I would want to play in it. So then I just decided, you know what? Let me trade and go through the effort of getting all the cards I would possibly want, and then I just have a big pile of things for slivers if I ever want to rotate cards in or out. But then it's like, well, where do we start? And that's kind of what today is. It's where do we start in building a sliver deck? Because I don't want it, like I said, I'm not aiming for top tier, but I at least want to be able to cast all my cards, right? So that's kind of going to be the goal today. So we'll see what's up. Nicodemus says, I wasn't going to miss a sliver deck build vid. Well, that's fair. The thing is, though, like I said, I don't expect to take away a lot of information from this if you're looking to make your sliver deck better. Except for maybe an odd card choice or two that might be fun. I'm not looking, like I said earlier, to min-max the value of it. So just want to make that clear up front, so we're level setting, so people don't get disappointed about like, well, why aren't you playing this card, or why aren't you doing this thing, or why aren't you like, because it's just not what we're aiming for, you know. And the other thing too is I don't think building for a commander competitively is wrong either, right? If you have a community that wants to play competitively and it makes sense to do, then do it. You know, play the game how you find fun with the people who also want to play the same way. Me personally, not my jam, so I just build whatever. However, slivers, the last time I had a sliver deck was probably, oh gosh, pre-2000. If I'm being honest, I think that's accurate. And even then, I think it was definitely a 60 card commander deck. I didn't even build as we weren't even playing commander back then, right? So I definitely didn't have a sliver version. So I just figured, hey, hadn't had anybody in my play groups playing this. Haven't played against anybody playing this online. So why not give this a go? And I feel bad because a lot of people did reach out and were like, oh, well, hey, here's this deck list and you should play it. I was like, I'm not even looking at those. I don't even want those, right? Unless they're just doing something really fun and interesting, I didn't want to take a look at them. Jeremiah says, I started MTG after Slivers had their day, so this whole sliver thing seems very interesting. That's cool. Velrath, how's it going? Hello, this is something I've been theory crafting: Sliver Lord, Conspiracy Tokens, and Craterhoof. That's interesting. I will not have Craterhoof in my deck. Though, again, Craterhoof makes sense because you have a whole bunch of creatures, and all your creatures getting to trample is very cool. It's one less sliver I get to play with. I feel so hard, but and and that's exactly it, Velrath. I think that's the moral to this whole thing. Is if it's fun for you, then definitely build it. I don't think anybody should ever be worried about play this card, play that card, whatever. I see too often where somebody posts a fun thing on Facebook or Twitter or whatever in a Discord about, I'm playing these fun cards or whatever together. And somebody says, well, why are you using that? Why don't you use this? This card sucks, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that person is obviously excited about the weird, goofy 3 or 4 card combo-y thing that does something stupid that they want to have in their deck. Let them enjoy it. Celebrate it with them. Now, you might say, hey, have you seen this other card? Or have you seen this option? And give them a chance to, like, yeah, that's not what I'm trying to do. And they're like, okay, cool. But it's weird to see people want to insult people's choices and tell them they're dumb for not playing, or, hey, you should be investing in this other card instead. Or it's like, no, let them build whatever they want to build with. Have fun. Hey, Seth. So yeah, let's hop over. Let's get into this whole deck building thing. We got 15 of y'all here already, so thank y'all for stopping by. I'm going to try to do some fun picture-in-picture things here. Let me see if I can brighten up my lights just a little bit to kind of help out some things here. I think that'll help. I can also brighten the light coming in behind me a little bit too. That was one of my projects yesterday. I'm trying to upgrade my lights. Having some problems, which, I'm waiting on them to get back to me on a couple of things. But I think I can do this the way I want and brighten the lights behind me. Let's see if this works. Boom. That doesn't do much to change the lighting. So, actually it does. Yeah, all right. Let's do that. That works a little bit. And I think I have another light. I can do it without, like, messing up the light on my face too much. Let's do this. Here we go. There we go. Now you'll be able to see stuff just a little bit better. So, in the picture I passed out or sent around socials earlier, obviously are the 5 different, I guess you want to call legendary slivers. I don't know how you refer to these. I'm sure sliver fans probably have some name for this pile of creatures. I have no idea what it would be. But hey, everybody seems to have a name for something. Belver says, well, Conspiracy makes it a sliver, so Overlord gets to tutor for it. A backup Conspiracy. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't want to have to do that for my version. It's like either it's a sliver or it's not. Or counts as a sliver, or it doesn't. I'm not really going to worry about it otherwise. Because again, like, Craterhoof's a good card. I play it in one of my other decks, but it's also kind of a, like, too often just an I win card if it's not answered, which is fine. I think that's totally okay to have. I just don't like playing a bunch of those in my decks, unfortunately. For me, a lot of people have been saying, like, oh, you should play this so you can tutor. You should build this one. For me, I think it's easy. It's this one. We're going with the first sliver because everything has Cascade. And I think that's the obvious choice for me. Just getting free cards seems better. So I'm probably just going to go with that. Also, if anybody needs to see a card because we don't have anything special as far as APIs for YouTube yet, I'll try to bring stuff up in the corner here just like that. So if you ask, I can type it up and search it for you if you need to see it on screen because you're unfamiliar with the card. So I'll do what I can to put it in focus. If it's not, then no big deal. Just let me know and I'll try to make sure you can see it. So trying to make this as easy of an experience as possible because it's the first time I've done it. First time I'm sure most of y'all have done it. So we're going to see what's up. Your dreams online. Well, all right. I'm sure that's a bot I need to boot. That's exciting. They're always going to start coming. But, that's how you know you made it when bots start coming by, Boom. All right. And then let's just boot this person. There we go. Done. I'm going to have to appoint some of y'all as moderators if I start doing these more often, too. All right. So that's done. Out of there. Okay, so no matter what, these 5 cards are all going to be part of the deck, right? So even if we start with the first sliver, this is already going to eat up 4 slots. Because I've already decided if I'm playing this, I'm going to go ahead and play all 4 of them. Or 5 of them, right? There's no reason not to. That just seems silly. Because you're playing a sliver deck. And to be honest, these are also the biggest slivers, being 5/5s and 7/7s. So like, it only makes sense to go ahead and do it. It feels like it'd be silly not to. Though it is weird that if you look, these are all 7/7s, except for the Hive Lord, which is only a 5/5. Like, it's like the runt of the group. It just kind of got like the short end of the stick. Don't know why. Maybe it's not a full legend deck or something. I don't know how they decided that was going to be a thing, but is what it is. All right. So we know we're going to do that. So those are already in. So we're going to count card total at 4 already. Now, the interesting thing is we have this whole pile. This is literally every sliver plus, I think, a Morphin that exists, except for Synapse Sliver and Magma Sliver, and I have somebody sending me those in the mail. So I will have those, well, probably not till the end of next week because of the snow in the area. So technically we're already at 6 cards because I know those are going to go in and make the cut, right? Also, for people who need to know, let me just put those on the screen so y'all can see this. I'm sorry I'm rocking the screen around. I'm going to have to stabilize that camera better for next time. But Synapse Sliver, there you go. If you need to know what that is, whenever you deal Sliver deals damage to a player, its controller may draw a card. So it's just really good bonus cards. It also is retailed around like $20, I think. And then is it Magma Sliver? Is that the other one? Yeah, this one. This is the other. And then target sliver gets +X +0, where X is the number of slivers you control. Mostly, also the other thing too is these are both 4 mana and 5 mana, which means we're going to get to cascade into something else, which is pretty nice. So, kind of fits if we're going to be playing the first sliver as well. So, like I said, those are already coming, so we're technically already up to 6. Oh, you thought it was weird too? Gives indestructible? Yeah. With Cascade, you really don't need Craterhoof. Also true. Adding changelings? Not really. Like, just the Mournfund, and that's probably about it. If it's not, really, in reality, if it's not a sliver, I mostly didn't consider it. Looks brutal out there on the sales. Yeah, it's pretty rough. But around my place, we already have about 6 inches of snow, and it's probably going to be another 2 or 3 before the night's up, for sure. It's not like heavy, but it's just real light and steady, and it's just like piling up. Going to watch the stream in good faith, but I do believe that Overlord is the best sliver commander. Hey, everybody can like what they like. I'm not going to tell you not to. If you want to play Overlord, go play Overlord. That's totally reasonable. I mean, if you want to go search for things, go search for things. Nothing wrong with that. I just want to get free cards, so I'm just going to get free cards. And again, everybody play it the way you want to play it. I mean, in reality, if you own multiples, you can rotate them out however you see fit. It's probably not going to change your deck much. But hey, go with what works for you. I always tell people that. Even when I have people that, you know, gripe about something in my standard decks that I put up or whatever, I always tell them, play. And people think I'm just being, I don't know, passive aggressive, but I'm being honest. Like, my decks, my ideas, my thoughts are not the gospel. If you want to play something different, play something different. If you're like, I'd rather have this card than this card. Okay, cool. Go for it. I'm not changing mine, but feel free, you know? And I think that's the part some people get frustrated by, that like they're telling me and like, I don't even consider it. It's like, because I've already considered those cards 99% of the time. I just chose not to play with them. That's okay. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means I like playing a different way or like playing different cards. So you do you. Like, put in what you want to play with, for sure. You want to use the queen, but we'll see. Fair enough. Would you add Glasspool Mimic? I know it's not a sliver, but it could at least be a land tube. Nah, I probably wouldn't play Glasspool Mimic either. Like, that's literally how serious I'm being. Like, this is going to be, of the creatures in here are probably going to be like 95% plus actual slivers. Or else I'm probably not even putting them in. To me, that's just easy. Like, it just makes the most sense. All right. So what I'm thinking is now we're already up to 6 creatures. We're going to have room for some 30, 35-ish lands. Probably going to have room for, I would guess, another 12-ish, 15-ish mana rocks or what you call it, different types of charms or whatever we want to have in there to make our mana. But then that doesn't leave all that much room for actual creatures. That's the tough part. So we have to figure out what creatures we want the most first. And then we'll see. The sliver cycling slivers is nuts. That is pretty fun. All right. So I think we're going to start at the top, and I'm going to just bring these up as we go through them. So this is going to be a little bit of a long process, but I know a lot of these cards are older, and a lot of new players aren't necessarily familiar with these cards. So I want to make sure I put them on screen so people can see them. So we're going to go with Striking Slivers, the one on top here. And this is 1 mana, 1/1s. Slivers you control have first strike. This seems mostly fine. Nope, no Faceless Havens either. Mostly because it doesn't make color. Like, I can't have a land that doesn't make color unless it does something phenomenal. And just turning into a creature ain't enough. Alright, so for now, I feel like Striking Sliver gets to make the cut. Partially because, one, giving creatures first strike is good, but also, when we're going to be playing the Cascading Sliver, getting to play your cheap things and still have something to cascade into is kind of nice. Because there are some slivers you're going to want to play that are 2 mana, and you at least still want to get some value. So I think this is still reasonable to play. Not exciting, mind you, but reasonable. Next one up is Telekinetic Sliver. Oh, is that not it? Did I spell that wrong? Maybe I just spelled it. Oh, no, I did that right. Oh, no, I didn't. I spelled it wrong. That's why. Ha! There we go. Slivers have tap target permanent. I don't know how I feel about this one. You think the Sliver deck only has 2 non-sliver creatures in it. Birds of Paradise and Changeling. That's fair. That makes sense. That's sort of where I'm going to be at. Have you talked about your mana base? I think the mana base for 5-color decks is more important. No, there's not going to be a secret to the mana base. It's literally going to be just play 5-color lands, fetch lands, duels, and shocks. That's it. Like, that's my plan. There's no secret. Like, this is what I was telling people when they were like, ooh, I want to come get to, like, dude, I have no secrets. I am doing the simplest fun thing to do. I own dual lands, I own shock lands, I own fetch lands. They're all going to go in there. I will probably play like Mana Confluence, City of Brass, Ancient Ziggurat, all the stuff that makes 5 colors. That's literally it. Like, there is no secret to my mana base. Maybe one of each basic if I feel it's necessary to have basics for some reason. But that's about it. Won't be doing anything fancy with the lands. I'm familiar with the Tempest Block Slivers. It's the newer ones I'm not familiar with. Yeah, I'm sure everybody has their level of expertise. Something will be more familiar than the other ones. All right, so I'm going to opt probably out on Kinetic Sliver. Tapping permanence is nice, but it does cost 4, of which 2 has to be blue. Again, we're probably going to have a lot of multi-land, so it's not the end of the world. But it is also only a 2/2. And I don't feel like it does enough about that. So, yeah, I own plenty of duels, but I also have had all my dual lands, except for maybe like 3 or 4 of them. I've had since, man, again, pre-2000. Like, some of them I opened out of booster packs or whatever, so I just have a lot of them. Tapping isn't bad, because you can also stop, like, somebody's legend or commander from attacking you, and that's pretty good. But other than that, it also lets you set up lethal attacks. That's the other thing, too. Like, it puts the board state in a weird situation, because now nobody wants to attack with anything, because if they only live, like, 2 or 3 creatures back, you can now tap the remainder, and then you can take them out, and it just gets really weird, so... Your first serious dive? This is not serious. So, this is... If you're looking for serious, probably not where you want to be here. Alright, so what do we got here? We have Tempered Sliver. This one has slivers you control have whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I actually kind of like this one. You know, especially because you have slivers that can also give your stuff like Death Touch and things like that. So there's going to be times some of your creatures get to slip through. And then if your opponent's not blocking them, your creatures get bigger. And you also have things that can let you make sliver tokens and whatever. So I'm kind of down with it. I think for now, this one makes it. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of these are going to end up getting cut even on the second round. That's just how it is. I mean, there's literally a stack of like, I don't know, 100 things. They're just not going to make it. Two-headed sliver is exactly what you think. All sliver creatures have menace. So, yay. Makes it hard to block your things. So for now, makes the cut. Oh, as in 6 slivers. Well, that's going to be a big difference. All right, this is Venom Sliver. Definitely has to make the cut. I don't think this is really much of a question. This gives everything Death Touch. Absolutely going to keep it. Virulent Sliver, also going to make the cut. Because it gives everything poisonous. So if your things don't get blocked, then your opponent gets poisoned and then they possibly die. Especially if you have a lot of slivers attacking at once. Basil Sliver is all slivers have sacrifice this creature, add 2 mana to your mana pool. I don't know how I feel about this one. Because everything we have is going to be colored mana, for the most part, or is going to require like a colorless and a red, or colorless and a blue, or blue and a white, or whatever, I'm not really sure how much sacrificing for 2 mana does for us, because I'm not going to have a ton of things, unless I want to activate some artifacts, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But I don't know if Basil Sliver really does much, so I think I'm willing to cut this for now. If I end up with some number of artifacts that need extra mana to activate, or maybe extra tutoring ability or something, then maybe I'll come back to it. Because, that'd be fine. Menace works with the counter-adding sliver. Absolutely, Thomas. It totally does. All right. So we got Belligerent Sliver. I love the names that they gave the slivers, too. Oh, I guess it helps if I put a G instead of a D. All right. Slivers you control have, this creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, which is basically the same thing the two-headed sliver says, because we got menace as a keyword. But yeah, if we're playing the other one, we're playing this one. It's another mana, and it's a bigger size. So yeah, why not double down on the abilities? And that's kind of the other thing about slivers, too, because we got slivers, like, I don't know, 20 years apart, they ended up having some that have repeat abilities. So you might as well play them because you kind of get to cheat a little bit as you get to double down on a lot of abilities, which is pretty cool. Blur Sliver gives all slivers haste. We're definitely going to play it. It's 3 mana, 2/2. Little reason to not play that one. This is Constricting Sliver. Slivers you control have when the creature enters the battlefield, you can have target creature and opponent controls, or actually you exile target creature and opponent controls. So this is actually pretty cool. The problem, though, is that it's 6 mana, right? Which, again, great. If we're playing the Cascading Sliver, don't have a problem with it. Getting to exile a thing is pretty nice until they get rid of it. It's also a 3/3 body, which isn't terrible. It's a combo sliver with Sliver Queen, but that doesn't seem to be the point of the deck. Definitely not the point of the deck. But I don't know. We'll see. This one's a tentative one. I'm going to put this one sideways because I like the idea of it. We're probably not going to end up playing it. Crypt Sliver. All slivers have tap and regenerate the sliver. I like this one. Mostly because it allows your creatures to survive sweepers and crazy things that go off or whatever. Almost forces your opponent to have to bounce the board. Some say all slivers, some say your sliver. That's also true. Some do say some say all. Diffusion Sliver. When a sliver creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless they pay more. Absolutely want to play Diffusion Sliver. It makes your things harder to kill. So, not against that. Okay, Frenetic Sliver I'll bring up on camera because that's... I feel like there's a little bit more to talk about here. All slivers have pay 0. If this creature is in play, you flip a coin. If you win the flip, remove the creature from the game, return to the battlefield under its owner's control until end of turn. If you lose a flip, sacrifice it. This is very similar. They're trying to make it like the Frenetic Affliate. If any of you know that, I believe from Visions, I think was the set. Hold on. Let's see if I remember. Mirage. In my head, I almost said Mirage first. I thought that was correct. So yeah, so kind of the same effect they're going for here. Same cost. You get a 2/2 body. It doesn't fly, but it is another way to save your creatures. So definitely on board with that one. Groundbreaker Sliver, or Ground Shaker Sliver, I should say. Slivers you control have trample. It's a 7 mana 5/5. I think I'm still going to play it. Even though it costs 7, it's a 5/5 body, giving your stuff trample. Pretty good, especially since we'll have multiple ways to grow our slivers. Seems good. Harmonic Sliver, you absolutely play this. I pretty much say if you're playing any sliver deck, this goes in. When a creature enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Like, you're not going to pass that up. Heart Sliver, just like we were talking about doubling down abilities, you get to give everything haste. So, seems good. All slivers are unaffected by summoning sickness. It's the old way to say haste. Homing Sliver. Each sliver card in each player's hand has sliver cycling. Pay 3. So, yeah. Absolutely, because if you get a sliver that doesn't do anything to the board state, you can just cycle it and get another one. Not bad. Totally worth it. And then Horn Sliver. All slivers have trample. It's a smaller version of the other one. 3 mana 2/2. For now, we'll make the cut. Hunter Sliver. All slivers have provoke. Which here, I'll bring it up because it's... When a sliver attacks, its controller may have target creature defending player controls untap and block if able. This is pretty big whenever you're talking about having stuff that gives your creatures death touch or whatever else, because now you can force your opponent to block and get rid of their most important thing. Maybe get rid of their commander, possibly. Or if you just need some of those things where, like, when a creature dies or a sliver gets dealt damage or any of that stuff, you can force it to happen in some ways, which is why I kind of like this card. How important it is, I don't know. So I'm going to put it in the maybe pile. So we're going to put that one sideways. Leeching Sliver. When a sliver you control attacks, defending player loses a life. 100% in. Like, no question there. Mesmeric Sliver. All slivers have, when this permanent comes into play, you may Fate Seal 1. And that's basically look at the top card of the opponent's library, leave it there, put it at the bottom. 4 mana for a 2/2 to Fate Seal somebody, I don't know. I feel it feels useful, but it also feels not fun. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna put it in the no pile. Even though it is a good ability, especially if you're trying to keep your opponent from drawing a sweeper, or you know they're looking for a certain thing. I just don't know. I don't know. I'd probably want to be doing something more fun. Might Sliver. All your slivers get +2/+2. 5 mana 2/2. Okay. Pretty much everything that pumps Sliver's power is probably going to get to stay in my list. Opaline Sliver. All slivers have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Absolutely in. Predatory Sliver. All slivers get +1/+1. Or all slivers you control get +1/+1. So definitely in. Sentinel Sliver. This one's a little bit tougher. Slivers you control have Vigilance. I'm not opposed to it. It's a 2 mana 2/2, so it's efficient. Shadow Sliver. Slivers you control have Shadow. Absolutely. Shadow creatures can only attack and be blocked. Can only block and be blocked by shadow creatures. So, seems good. Good way to finish if your opponent has no shadow creatures. Shifting Sliver. Slivers can't be blocked except by slivers. Absolutely, we're going to play this. Sidewinder Sliver. All slivers have flanking. Flanking base says whenever a creature without flanking blocks a sliver with flanking, they get -1/-1 until end of turn. So, yeah, it's basically another way to give your creatures +1/+1 if they're blocked. But really good because it could kill off some things that are too small to block. So basically your opponent's little tokens and stuff can't block and do anything. They at least prevent the damage because they block, but then they don't deal any damage back. So very cool there. Frenzy Sliver. Slivers have Frenzy 1. Whenever a sliver attacks and isn't blocked, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. 2 mana 1/1. I'm kind of into it. Basically put your opponent in a situation of like, if you block, cool. If you don't, they're going to get bigger. Homing Sliver. You want a sliver with horsemanship now? We already have too many things that horsemanship on a sliver also doesn't make sense because like they'd just be parasites on a horse, not really riding it. Each sliver card in each player's hand has sliver. Do we have 2 homing slivers in this pile? I just realized that. I think we do. We do have 2 homing slivers in this pile. All right, well, that one goes over there. I was like, wait a minute. I already saw the sliver cycling. All right, Limp Sliver. 5 mana, 3/3. All slivers have absorb 1. If a source will deal damage to a sliver, prevent 1 of that damage. This feels really good. For 5 mana, I don't know if it's good enough, but we're going to put it off to the side. Like, maybe. Quick Sliver absolutely makes a cut. Everything you have has flash, so sure. Hive Stirrings. I put it in my creature pile because it does make 2 slivers, so I think we're going to play it. Mana Weft Sliver is a must. It lets you tap all slivers for any mana color. Gigantic Sliver. Do we also have 2 of these in the pile? I don't think we do. Hold on. I thought we came across one of those already. Maybe we didn't. Nope. Looks like we don't. All right. Well, it's definitely in. Gives all the slivers +3/+3. Absolutely making the cut. Steel Form. Slivers you control get +1/+0. Or +0/+1. I actually don't like the defensive stuff as much. So I'm going to put this in the no pile. Especially since we're going to have to, like, even with what we have, we're going to have to cut back and make room. Like, something's going to have to go. Because probably half of these are still going to make the cut. So we're going to have to go back through and pull some out. Cleaving Sliver. Slivers you control get +2/+0. Absolutely. Like I said, anything that pluses power is probably going to make the cut. This gives slivers flying and haste. You absolutely are playing that. 2 mana, 2/2. Each sliver in your graveyard has Unearth 2. This one I debate. It feels pretty good. You get to put stuff from your graveyard into play one more time, and then it's exiled. I just don't know. Like, I'm going to put it in the maybe pile. I feel like I should be playing it, but I'm just not excited about it. 3 mana, 2/2. Slivers you control have discard a card, draw a card. Maybe. I think we're going to have enough ways to draw cards without this, though. So I'm going to set that aside as a no. 3 mana, 2/2. Slivers you control have first strike. Absolutely. Lava Belly. Sliver creatures you control have, when this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, and you gain a life. Absolutely, we're going to play that. Profound Tutor needs to go in our spell stack. That was in the wrong pile. Poultice Sliver. All slivers have pay 2, tap, regenerate target sliver. Now, the fact that we have a black one or another one that already lets us just tap and regenerate, I don't know if we need this one, especially since we're also going to have like Frenetic Sliver and whatever. So I think we're going to say no to this one. And I feel a little bad about that, but something's got to give. All slivers have haste, 4 mana, 2/2. I like our creatures having haste. And this would be like the 3rd or 4th creature is going to let us have haste. But I'm going to put it in the maybe pile because it's a 4 mana 2/2. So if I'm going to get haste, I'd rather get it from the cheaper ones. Sinew Sliver. All slivers get +1/+1. Absolutely. Spitting Sliver. All slivers have first strike. Now this one's a 5 mana 3/3, but I'm still into it. Battering Sliver. All slivers have trample. And this is a 6 mana 4/4. So this is going to be the 3rd one we have that gives stuff trample. It's going to go in the maybe pile. I don't know if we're going to be able to take advantage of that with that many of them. Bone Splitter Sliver. All slivers get +2/+0. Absolutely, we'll play that. Cautery Sliver, definitely going to play this. All slivers have pay 1, sacrifice this, deal 1 damage to any target, or sacrifice it, prevent the next 1 damage to be dealt to a target player, planeswalker, or sliver. So, yeah. Just basically lets all your slivers pay 1 and sacrifice and either draw a card or deal a damage or prevent a damage. So definitely going to go with that. Also a good finisher, right? You get somebody down to like 10, you can just blow up all your dudes. Dark Art Sliver. Sacrifice this permanent, you gain 3 life. I'm into it. Now this one, I don't know. This is another one that gives all your slivers haste. So we like it. Slivers have 1, sacrifice this permanent. Target sliver you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So if we were turning out a bunch of tokens, this would be really good. I like the haste aspect of it, though, even if we don't ever use any of the other abilities. Slivers you control have double strike. Definitely going to play this. Gemhide Sliver, just slivers make any mana. Definitely going to play that. Necrotic Sliver, Pay 3, sack a sliver, destroy target permanent. Definitely going to play that. Sedge Sliver. All sliver creatures have this creature gets +1/+1 as long as you control a swamp. I'm going to go ahead and keep it. I think we can have a swamp a lot of different ways, so we're going to go ahead and keep that. Spinneret Sliver. All sliver creatures have reach. I will keep that. Not sure how important it's going to be. All slivers get +0/+2. Not excited by that. Like I said, we're more offensive than defensive the way I'm going to play this. Acidic Sliver. Pay 2, sacrifice this. Deal 2 damage to target creature or player. Definitely will keep that. Spine Sliver. If a sliver is blocked, it gets +1/+1 this turn for each creature blocking it. So definitely, because basically another way to get +1/+1. Victual Sliver. Pay 3, sacrifice this, gain 4 life. So more ways to gain life. We'll keep it. Ghost Flame Sliver. All slivers are colorless. This one I don't know about. Like, it's only a 2-mana 2/2, so I don't mind it. I'm just not sure if us being colorless or not matters. Like, there are a few things. They get, like, protection from red. There's also, like, a Chroma's Memorial. So it's pretty sweet that your creatures don't care about that. So, like, for now, it'll make the cut, but don't know if it's going to do enough to matter. This is basically gives all your slivers lifelink, so definitely keep that. Oh, I have a fancy Lava Belly. Well, let's just play this one instead. Instead of the regular one. I might as well play the fancy one. There we go. I don't play that many foils, so... But I will tell you this, and this is probably going to get me a lot of hate, but I actually like the etch foils way more than I like regular foils. I've never been a fan of regular foils, for whatever reason. Just the look of them, whatever. It's hard to read across the table. But I really do like the etch foils a lot. Of all the different varieties we've had, I like the etch foils. I know some people are way on the other side of the fence and think I'm crazy. But yeah, etch foils, definitely more my jam. I'll probably never care about having regular foil versions of a lot of these cards, but the etch foils I'm into. So definitely a thing. I just realized my camera is a little off, my framing here. Hold on a second. I want to fix that. It's starting to bug me now that I noticed. Like, it was totally fine, but now that I know it's there, I can't just leave it be. There we go. All right. Back to looking at these slivers. So we're almost through the sliver pile. Oh, that actually goes in the spell pile. That's not going to... Oh, did we get to the spells already? No, there's just a couple hanging out there. All right. Spectral Sliver. All sliver creatures have pay 2. This creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. I like this as a combat trick, right? You really can force your opponent to block in ways they don't like, knowing that if you have 6 or 8 mana just sitting there, you can make a creature really big and kill off something. So I like that. KR also agrees, likes the etch foils. Cool. Look at that. We have more hunted slivers. So that's just going to go in the no pile, obviously. Plated Sliver. +0/+1. Going to go in the other pile. Slivers can't be countered. I like this. Oh, we did get the Synapse Sliver. There we go. All right. So I do already have this in the pile. So the only one I'm missing then is the Magma Sliver. Whenever a sliver deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw cards. That's absolutely going in. When it comes into play, choose a color. All slivers have protection from the chosen color. I like this. It does cost 5, though. So that's going off to the side. Creatures you control have double strike. Absolutely. This gives stuff flying. We're definitely going to keep that one. This is slivers you control have lifelink. Definitely going to keep this. A 3-mana 2/2. Crystalline Sliver. Makes it where everything, your slivers can't be the target of spells or abilities. We're not going to have much that targets our own stuff even, so that's totally reasonable. Fungus Sliver. Whenever this creature deals damage, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I like it. Oh, it's dealt damage, actually, I should say. Not deals damage. Opaline Sliver. Whenever this creature becomes the target of spells... Oh, yeah, we actually have one of those in the deck, too. So, there you go. Psionic Sliver. This creature deals 2 damage to target creature or player and 3 damage to itself. Considering how many things we have that pump stuff, I think I'm okay with this. Because then it just gets free damage, right? If you leave your creatures untapped during the end of somebody's turn, So it's like, all right, cool. We're going to shoot that. We're going to shoot that, shoot that, shoot a player for 4, whatever. And your creatures don't die. Now, obviously, unless they kill something in response or whatever. But like, I'm down with that. I think that's a good one to have. Pulmonic Sliver. All slivers have flying. And if a creature would... Wait. Yeah, flying. And if this creature would be put into a graveyard, you can put it on top of his owner library instead. It's 5 mana, but it's a 3/3 and all your slivers get flying. So even if you don't ever use the other ability, it's worth it. Vampiric Sliver. Whenever a creature is dealt damage by this creature and it goes to the graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I don't know about this one, honestly. Like, most of the time... Well, I guess it's fine, right? I'm going to put it in the maybe pile. Because you're playing against something with a bunch of smaller creatures. Like, that's possible. If they're chump blocking with a bunch of, like, Saproling tokens or whatever... then your creatures are getting bigger, and that's pretty cool. Psionic Sliver's cute with Fungus Sliver. That is true. Blade Sliver. Creatures get +1. Didn't we already have Blade Sliver in this pile? I'm going to put it over here, but I think we had a Blade Sliver in the pile already. Brood Sliver, which has seen some better days. Whenever a Sliver deals combat damage to a player, its controller puts a 1/1 Sliver token into play. We'll definitely keep that. Hibernation Sliver. You can pay 2 life. Return this creature to its owner's hand. This is mostly fine. It's another way to protect your creatures. If we can get one of our life linkers or something going, seems reasonable. Muscle Sliver gives everything +1/+1. Talon Sliver gives everything first strike. Thorncaster Sliver. Creatures you control have, when this creature attacks, deal 1 damage to target creature or player. I don't know. I think this is our second one of those in there. I'll have to go check. Quilled Sliver. This creature deals 1 damage to target attacking or blocking Sliver. I'm not really into this. It's a 2 mana 1/1. It's cool to just ping something for extra, but I don't think we really need it. Still need a Brood Sliver to finish your Sliver collection. Hibernation Slivers, yes. I don't know, Krovax. Like, it's fine. Don't get me wrong. It's fine. But it will make the cut for now. If it doesn't survive cut 3, I would not be surprised. Just because of my style of play. We're already going to have so many ways to save creatures as it is. But, hey, Wing Sliver gives stuff flying. This is let you sacrifice to draw a card. So it can stay. Mind Whip Sliver. You can pay 2, sacrifice this. Target player discards a card at random. Play its ability only as a sorcery. 3 mana 2/2. Meh. I mean, making people discard's cool if I have a bunch of tokens. But if not, I probably don't want to give my creatures up. So, nah. Metallic Sliver. This is another one that if we are going to be playing some cheap slivers and we still want to cascade into something, I'm kind of okay with it. But it's going to go in the maybe pile. Toxic Sliver, or Toxin Sliver, I should say. Whenever a Sliver deals combat damage to a player, destroy the creature. Deals to a creature, destroy that creature, and it can't be generated. So if your opponent chump blocks, they lose a creature. Basically give everything Death Touch. Spiteful Sliver. Sliver creatures you control have, when this creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target player or planeswalker. Definitely will play that one. Also, that's good for like sweeper damage effects where like, we're going to deal 10 to everything, and then like they just die. This one, probably not going to play it. It's just a colorless Sliver construct. 3 mana 2/2. And then of course there's a more fun. I'll just bring it up on screen because there's a million words on it. Oh, I guess it helps if I spell it right. There you go. It's a 7 mana 6/6 changeling, so it counts every creature type. It enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, spells of the chosen type you cast cost. Wooburg, 1 of each colored mana less to cast. Effects reduce only the amount of colored mana you pay. Other creatures you control chosen type get +1/+1. So it basically pumps all your slivers, and it makes all your slivers cost colored mana less, which is pretty significant for a lot of these. So we're going to play it. It's definitely going to make the cut. So round 1, and this is what we lost. So now we got to get serious. Now we're honing in. This deck has to decrease by about half. So I'm willing to just peel off all the ones that made my maybe pile and just say these are just automatically not going to make the cut and save time. So knowing I have so many I have to cut anyway, I am not sad about losing any of the maybes. honestly. There's a bunch that have to get cut. Like I said, this has to be at least half of what it is, I would think. So this is hard decisions. Yeah, you can cast legendaries for free if we draw them. But you're right. Would you ever consider playing Commander on game nights or I hate your deck? Here's the thing. I've never been invited to play on any of them. So it's not about considering. I have literally done, I think, just about everything I have been invited to, or whether it's a podcast, stream, Discord, whatever, if I have had time in my schedule. And that's just kind of how I roll. So if that's not totally true, there's some stuff where like somebody wanted to do a modern thing and I just wasn't up to speed on modern. I didn't feel I could contribute to it, so I just opted not to participate. So there's some of those types of things. But generally, if people ask me to do something, I'm usually going to say yes if I'm available. If I'm not available, I'm just not available. I hate your deck is more of a like, we just haven't been able to line up our schedules or anything. And with the pandemic, I haven't been able to fly to visit them. So, you know, they want me out there. You know, they want me to be part of it, but it'll happen when it happens. You know, take your pick, Dan. Any of the 5 slivers. That's just what we're building. But yeah, I'm not. It's like, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I have a weird spot inside anyway for doing play content with or against other creators, because I don't see, for me, like, I don't see the benefit. Like, it's fun when we just get a few of us together and we're just goofing around playing a fun Commander game on stream or whatever. I feel like that's a bit different. But when we're making like produced content, I'm not sure what the appeal is for fans. Like, I think my problem is I don't understand the upside, really. And I probably, you know, I'll leave that to y'all to clarify, because if y'all like it, y'all like it. But for me, it's very much like I don't understand, because like, if I win, what does that do? Right? It's like, I think that's my problem. It's just like, I don't understand. Like, if I win, what does that do? Right? To both either my content or whatever, or the person's content I'm on or whatever. If either of us wins or loses, like, what does that do? Like, what is the viewer looking to get out of it is the biggest thing for me. Because I kind of get it when you're watching a stream, right? Because you're already coming by, you're an active part of that person's community. You're just seeing the person goof off, have fun, be themselves, play with other people, whatever. But when I get people who are like, oh, you should battle this person, I'm like, well, I could, but we could also just get together and have like an actual good commentary stream, or we could rate cards together, or we could, I don't know, critique decks, or we could do like 50 other things other than just play Magic against each other, where it feels like there's just less upside. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm kind of curious what people expect to get out of it, because I truly don't know. Like, I know when I see content of creators going at it, I don't even watch it. Like, I really don't. Now, I'll watch some Commander stuff just because sometimes it's just fun. When I know the people's content is them just being silly and goofing off, I have a good time with it. I probably wouldn't watch competitive Commander content. Like, that wouldn't appeal to me at all. It appeals to other people for sure, no doubt. And I'm not saying that content shouldn't exist. I'm sure it has a huge audience somewhere that just likes that type of thing. I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't think I would be into it. Like, if somebody were to ask me, like, hey, since you're on the Commander Advisory Group, it'd be cool for you to be on my channel. Would you build a competitive deck and come play? I'd probably just say no. Because I wouldn't be entertaining. I wouldn't be fun. Like, it wouldn't do anything for me. So I don't think I can add anything to somebody's content by doing it. You know what I mean? Like, my biggest thing is, regardless if their channel is bigger, smaller, whatever, I need to be bringing value. I don't think I could bring value to that. So, yeah. I'm always curious, though. I've had multiple people ask that, like, hey, would you consider doing something against this person? Or you should do a deck building challenge or whatever against this person. And I'm just kind of like, why? Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, for discussion makes way more sense, Angry Crow. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the discussion part makes more sense, because, like, we could bring two different perspectives together on a topic. And that's something that's rare that you don't get that often, right? So even for the viewer, that feels to me like it has more value. Like, when me and Dev got together and we picked our, like, each picked our top 10 favorite cards from a set, and then like our top 10 sleepers or whatever. That was kind of fun and different, and we got to discuss each other's choices and why, right? That to me felt way better than if me and Dev just brewed decks and then played each other for like 45 minutes, which I'm sure some people would like that. I just don't know what the value gain is, you know? Sort of. But that's the thing, Krovax. Like, if it's just for exposure, well, then the bigger channel is getting less exposure. So it's not benefiting them and their audience. And I'm not bringing much to their content if we're just going to be playing Magic. You know what I mean? Like, unless people just really want to see that. And I'm more inclined to just hop on their channel and just let them win since they're the host. And then, you know, their community feels good about it. Like a challenger came into their house and they defended their territory. Great. And then I just go on about my day. You know what I mean? Like, that's sort of what it feels like. Like I said, and there's probably nothing wrong with it. 100%. Like, it's just me personally. I just don't get it. Like, if I show up on somebody's channel and let's say I beat them in like, I don't know, 8 turns. What's the excitement there? Or what if I get beat in 7 or 8 turns, right? Like, what's the excitement for either side? Like, but some people like seeing that. I've never really understood why. Peeled away from more competitive EDH viewing. I've always same lines. Yeah, I get it. I totally get that. I just jumped on, but I wanted to ask a question for a while. Would you support MTG doing a TV series or a movie? They're already going to do a TV series. They have an animated series coming on Netflix. Netflix was even promoting it for 2022, so I'd assume by middle of next year we'll be seeing it. So, I mean, I don't know if you mean by support. I have no say in it. I mean, like, I mean, what do you mean by support? Like, work on it? Be a voice actor? I mean, I would take a paycheck for that. I mean, who wouldn't? Like, I don't really understand. I'd love to see you have a good conversation with One More Mana peeps about literally anything, honestly. Yeah, One More Mana guys are great. We may be doing something in the future. I talked to them about that. We had them on my podcast in the beginning, back around like episode... Man, what was that? Episode like 12 maybe? Or 13? It was early. It was 20 or less, I think, if you want to go back. But definitely had them on there if you want to go back and listen. But yeah, they're good dudes. They're really funny. But I reached out to them. We'll probably be doing something early next year, possibly. I'll be doing some stuff with Dev as well over at SBMTG. We've already been talking about stuff. And I went back and forth with Gavin Verhey. We have an idea of a video we might do. I think he's just got to get some things cleared on if we can do it. Would I watch it? Or I don't know. I mean, it just depends on if I have time. I make a lot of content. I mean, I literally, like, I enjoy Marvel comics and all the Marvel movies. I've literally not seen one Marvel thing during the pandemic. So, like, if I have time, I'll still watch it. I mean, I plan on getting caught up at some point. So, I mean, I guess. Do I think it helps the game? Everything helps the game. Like, anything positive you put out there helps. Like, Arcane is going to get people to go play League of Legends. Like, it just is. You know, the same way if you have a mobile game, if you have... Like, it's the whole reason you're starting to see them go like, hey, well, what if we partner with these clothing companies? Or, I don't know, people that make backpacks or, hell, car accessories or whatever, right? Because more of your stuff being out there just gives people reminders. And here's the thing, like, it appeals to lapsed players is the thing at the whole thing, right? Because if people aren't necessarily in a place where they have time or money or whatever to just be active in the game, they still appreciate it and they will stay connected ancillarily until they have that opportunity again. Because one of the jokes is that nobody really quits Magic. You just go on hiatus for a while. And then you eventually come... Now, obviously, some people do genuinely quit and never pick up a card again. But even then, you'll talk to those people and they're like, oh, I remember this, or oh, this is really cool, or man, I'd really like to have this statue for my office, or I'd really like to have this thing. So yeah, all of that I think is positive for the game, for sure. So yeah, if it's decent, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But yeah, as far as support it, would I watch it? Probably. I mean, like, I don't play League of Legends, but I do play Teamfight Tactics. I probably will watch Arcane at some point. Haven't got around to it yet. I hear it's very good. You know, I'd probably be the same thing with the Magic show, that it'll probably be decent. I'll probably just have to find time to watch it. And it depends on how many episodes it is, too, for me. Senpai and Hadouken are so good. They go together like elves and crater. Fair enough. All right. So going back through these pretty quick. Morinfin, I think definitely makes the cut. Creature can jump whenever this creature's dealt damage. It deals that much to target creature or planeswalker. Absolutely makes the cut. Toxin Sliver. Basically gives everything death touch. Will make the cut. Mesmeric Sliver to draw cards. Yes. Flying. Yes. Sliver control. Whenever this creature attacks, it deals 1 to a creature or player. Yes. First Strike. This starts to go into the maybe pile because we have several things that give First Strike. So now we have to start trimming down a bit. All the stuff that gives pluses, sure. Hibernation Sliver, probably a yes, but it's going to do into our maybe pile. Brood Sliver, 5 mana, 3/3. You do get to make more slivers if a sliver slips through. You can attack somebody where they don't have anything and then pile up your duders. That seems pretty good. It might survive this round. You quit Magic when Annihilator was introduced. I know a lot of people that didn't like Annihilator, actually. It's the type of mechanic I look at, and I always think, like, it's a bad idea, right? Anything that just keeps people... Like, I feel like it's a type of ability that should have been run by more focus groups before they decided to say yes to it. Which they do a good job of that now. I think it's less of a problem. But back then, I think it's something that if they would have ran it through enough casual focus groups, pretty much anything like that, anything that takes an extra turn, any of this, like, players just hate it. Like, the casual to mid-level players hate it. 100%. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. All right. Blade Sliver. +1, +0. Yes. Pulmonic Sliver. Yes, because of the flying. Psionic Sliver. I'm still going to give this a go and say yes, because it can be a finisher. Fungus Sliver. I don't know, man. I guess if we're going to play the Pulmonic Sliver or whatever, like the one that's dealing, or not Pulmonic, but the one that's dealing the damage to herself, we kind of have to play Fungus Sliver, because it sort of makes sense to do. It's kind of weird to not do it. Crystalline Sliver, yes. Siphon Sliver gives everything lifelink, so yes. Flying, yes. Double Strike, absolutely. Synapse Sliver is draw cards. Can't be countered. This feels very like playgroup centric, right? If you want your creatures to not be countered. Because there's some groups that play a ton of counters and there's some that play none. So I'm going to say yes for this round, but would not be surprised if it gets cut. Yeah, anti-fun. That's a good way to describe it. This creature gets +1/+1. You can pay 2. I'm going to gamble on we're just going to be using our mana and have other ways to pump our creatures. Another one that gives us lifelink. Makes them colorless. This one's not going to make the cut. I wasn't sure before. I thought we kind of wanted it. I'm just going to skip on it because there's only a handful of situations where it's really going to matter. This lets us sacrifice and gain life. This is if a creature gets blocked, gets +1. I'm going to put this into a maybe, but it probably makes the cut. At the time that the Eldrazi was going to be more prevalent in Magic. At the time, oh, you thought that the Eldrazi were, yeah, they kind of still are, but like all Magic stories, they're only on certain planes. Hope the day is treating you well. Hey, Solvix, welcome. Yeah, Acidic Sliver, we're definitely keeping. Spinneret, Sliver creatures have reach. We have so many things to give stuff flying. I don't know if we need this. I'm gonna say no. Hurts me a little bit, but I'm gonna say no. Sledge Sliver. Now this one's interesting too because it basically gives everything +1/+1. If we control a swamp, I think I can set it up where we can control a swamp between like all the shock lands and dual lands, but I don't know how important it is. So it kind of pains me a little bit. Hey, the other guy, welcome, welcome. So I think Sedge Sliver is not going to make the cut. which makes me kind of sad because it is another creature that pumps your creatures. But I think I'm going to have enough stuff to pump our team that we probably don't need it. This definitely stays because it lets us kill things. This makes mana. Double strike, yes. This is haste, but it makes the cut this round. This just lets us straight up sacrifice for 3. It'll make the cut for the moment, but we'll see. Well, again, I think what you decide to play or not play is going to be largely dependent on your individual play groups, right? If you know the type of decks people like to play, you know, like we're saying, even like can't be countered, become colorless, whatever. Like for a lot of my play groups, those things are not going to be as strong, right? But if you're playing against other things where those are relevant, I totally understand if you make the cut and put those in. Like in my play groups, they just don't do much of anything. This one I like, you know, having the ability to ping something or gain life. It's like another pseudo finisher. So it'll make the cut for now. Slivers get +2/+0. We want that one. This gives stuff first strike, but it is 5. This is going to go in the maybe pile. Definitely +1/+1. Lava Belly definitely makes the cut. It's another one that gives stuff first strike, but it's also cheaper. You know what? I think the black one's not going to make the cut. I think it's just too pricey. Plus, we have 2 or 3 others that also give first strike. Definitely going to play Cloud Shredder. This gives all slivers +2/+0 again. So we'll go with that. Gigantic Sliver, definitely. Mana Weft, yes. Hive Stirrings makes 2 dudes, so why not? Quick Sliver, this is another one that gives stuff. It has basically flash, and all your slivers gain flash. I feel like this is okay. Probably not necessary. Sliver creature attacks and isn't blocked. You get +1/+0. I like it, but I think this is going to get cut. Isn't there another sliver in Boros that gives haste and flying? Yeah, it's definitely Cloud Shredder. We definitely have that in here. We have all the slivers in the pile. Flanking, I do like that. Again, because if we're going to be cascading, we need something small to cascade into. Can't be blocked, yes, except by slivers. Shadow, yes. Creature control have vigilance. I'm on the fence on vigilance. It's probably still good. This gives +1/+1. This is if your stuff's targeted, you get to draw a card. This gives +2/+2. When the Sliver controls attacks, opponents lose life. We definitely want that one. I think I'm going to cut some of the trample ones. I just think with us having flying and whatever, like trample just not going to be. Again, though, if you play against people that play a lot of like sapling tokens, Thopter tokens, whatever, then the trample matters. So, Sliver cycling will keep. This is another one that gives all your stuff haste. It'll make the cut for now. Harmonic Sliver definitely keeps. Another one with trample, I think we're just going to get rid of. Frenetic Sliver is fine. Want to keep that. Giving everything regenerate, I think we're going to let it go. Mostly because we have several ways to bounce things, protect things, whatever. Don't think that's that big a deal. What color are you most confident that you could build a deck with a high win rate? I'm sure there's other What do you mean? All of them? I don't know. Just depends on what the format is and what cards are available. I'm going to say all of them. I mean, I have a YouTube channel where I play all different colors and different decks. So, yeah, all of them. I'm not trying to give you a cop-out answer. I mean, literally, even now, we see stuff that's heavy white, heavy black, mono green. Like, blue-red's a thing. Werewolves is red-green. There's a bunch of stuff you can play. Azorius Control. Yeah, especially on ladder. Like, ladder, you can do a bunch of things and get a decent win rate. Like, and the other thing too is like, don't get too focused on high win rate. Some people are just like, I got to get as high a win rate. No, you don't. You only need a win rate like 54% or something, 55%, and you'll still level and hit Mythic by the end of the season without even grinding that hard. Like, I've hit Mythic just by accident while I'm testing all these weird decks to get us to decks that we can play on the YouTube channel. So, like, if I can hit Mythic, I don't know, 75% of the time, without even trying while I'm testing. Like, literally, there are days I've played for like 3 hours and didn't move a single level on my rank because I've tested like 4 or 5 just really bad decks. And then eventually get to a decent one and then go for it and, you know, bump up a leg or two in like diamond or whatever. So, like, it's totally doable. Well, then just play mono black, Darren. Like, that's fine. Build a version that works for you and go for it. Like, there's a couple that are out there. I'm pretty sure I had a couple on my channel this season. Blur Sliver. Everything has haste. We'll make the cut one more time, though I think we might have too many hasters. This creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more. I still think that's fine. Though now we have a bunch of things that are making it hard for your opponent to block. Virulent Sliver, I think we're just not going to play on the poison thing. I'm just going to let that go. Though, I don't know. Maybe, nah, we got to get this pile down. So something's got to go. Let's see. Creatures you control have Death Touch. Sure. Can't be blocked except by 2 or more. Sure. And then we've got, when this creature deals damage to a player, it gets a +1/+1 counter. And Striking Sliver gives everything first strike, but it is only 1 mana. So, sure. I guess we'll keep that. All right. What did I have in the maybes pile? Let me check these out one more time. Because we did shrink this pile down a bit. We're down now almost half and half. I guess the only ones of the maybes. Man, I don't know. I kind of like Quick Sliver too, though. Giving stuff. Flash. Maybe. We're going to cut some of those. Things just have to go. Like, things got to go. So now we're down to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we are at 56 creatures, counting 5 more, actually. So 61. That's too many. That's not acceptable. So I still got to get this down even more. So we're going to have to be really tight. So this is going to go. This is staying. This is staying. This is staying. Now I'm just going to like kind of blaze through here. This is going to go because we have a bunch of things to give haste. Think we still have enough things of haste without that. That's fine. Sliver cycling is probably still good. Draining the opponent is nice. Pumping creatures is always going to stay. I guess how many unblockable effects do we need, I guess, is the thing. Right? Because we have the one that gives everything flying, gives stuff shadow, gives stuff just can't be blocked unless they're slivers. I guess they can all stay for now. Sidewind Sliver with flanking is going to get cut. Hive Stirrings, I think, gets to stay, even though it's an actual spell, not a creature. Produce mana. +2/+0 for 4 mana. I don't know. Let's see. Another First Striker. +2/+0. So these are both +2/+0. They both cost 4. They're both 2/2s. I don't know if I'm going to end up with either one making the cut, sadly. Like, at some point, Dark Art Sliver, I think we have enough ways to gain life that that's just not going to make it. Though it is nice to have if your opponent sweeps the board and then you can just sack a bunch of stuff to gain life. That's actually fine. What are the hardest slivers to cast color requirement-wise? These? Outside of those, nothing, really. Like, here's the thing. If you're building a deck to cast these that are all 5 color mana, like, you can cast anything else in the deck. Like, so you almost have to ignore, like, at that point, it's just mana quantity more than mana colors. Like, you kind of just write off the colors after a point. They're not all that relevant. All right, so those get cut. Firewake Sliver is going to get cut. We'll keep the double strikers, because that makes sense. Destroy permanents, deal damage. This also sacrifices to gain life. But you get to gain 4 instead of 3. Like, this is kind of a tough thing, right? Because it's like, would I rather have a Darkheart Sliver or a Victual Sliver? They're both 2 mana, 2/2s. We're probably going to be a little heavier on green, but they're both green, so it's green, black, green, white. This one, though, lets you sacrifice for free and gain 3. This lets you sacrifice for 2 mana and gain 4. So there's no secret to the mana base. I already told people it's literally just going to be lands that produce 5 colors, fetch lands, shock lands, dual lands. Or not, yeah, that's it. Like, there's no secret. Like, I'll just say, if you're here to see the mana base, don't kill yourself. Like, that's literally just going to be simple. It's going to be nice and easy. Realm Walkers won't be in the deck. Like, it makes sense. Feel free to put it in your version. Just not going to be in here. But yeah, the lands, I'm not even sweating myself. Like, my pile of lands I have set aside is literally just lands that produce 5 colors or whatever. And then ultimately will be fetch land, dual land, shock lands. Probably just the first sliver so I can cascade. That's probably what we're doing. Not doing anything crazy. So yeah, these two are going to get set to the side because I have to decide which. I don't know if we need both. I think I only need one of those. Lifelink is good. I don't know how badly we need can't be countered. Like I feel like if I'm not playing the quick sliver to give everything flash, then I don't know how badly I need this one. And again, I think it's my play group. We don't play that many spell counters, so I'm just going to let it go. I wouldn't normally say it if OG duels weren't mentioned, but Cavernous Souls, yes, it's a 5-color land. Like, literally, I'm playing 5-color lands, and then the fetches, duels, shocks. That's what it's going to be, mostly. Like, seriously. There may be some other land that gets in there for one reason or another, but mostly, that's going to be the choices. Like, I'm putting 0 thought into my lands. It's literally, oh, does this make multicolors to cast creatures? If I own it and the answer is yes, it's probably going in. And then I'm playing all the shock lands, dual lands, fetch lands, just because it gets me all the colors I need. And they're easy to work with. So, like, yeah, it's the easiest mana base I've ever built for a deck. It's going to take so little thought. I'm probably not even playing any of the lands that become creatures or any of that stuff. Like, just making sure I have all the colors whenever I need them. Synapse Sliver, yes. Creatures have double strike, yes. Flying, yes. Lifelink again, yes. Protection, yes. Sadly, I think these two come as a combo, so those go in. This gives flying. Creatures get +1, +0, maybe. I don't know why I'm still keeping Brood Sliver. It might actually get cut. Muscle Sliver. This attacks and deals damage, more flying. Draw a card. I guess give creatures death touch effectively. Keep that one. Keep the Morphin. Yeah, like, I know everybody wants to play Hibernation Sliver. I'm not even all that excited about Hibernation Sliver making the cut in my list. Nope. There's no utility lands I really need in this deck. I really don't. I don't even know if either of these are going to make the cut. I have like 3 things that give lifelink even. I don't even know if I need those. I mean, these are neat if, like, I don't know, they're going to blow up the board and you just want to sacrifice stuff to gain life. Like, I get that aspect of it, but yeah, not sure if either of these makes the cut, sadly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we got down to 43. So now we're actually getting down to a real number. Now we can start considering what we're doing with other piles and then come back to this. And again, I know everybody, I'm leaving Hibernation Sliver on top because I know y'all are in love with it, so I'm going to let you stare at it for a while. And when I boot it to the no pile, everybody can set me on fire. So I'm just going to do that now. Because I know everybody really wants to play that card. I get it. It's a fine card. It's good. It protects your creatures. I'm down with it. It'll probably still make the cut. I'm just largely teasing y'all, but we'll see. All right. Lurking Predators. This is one of my favorite cards in all of Commander. Absolutely making the cut and will be in my deck. Just letting you know. Like, I'll bring Lurking Predators up on screen so people that haven't seen one before get to see what it is. This is not even joking. It genuinely is my... If I'm playing a creature deck, this is the one I always want. Like, This is great even after your opponent sweeps the board, because then by the time it gets all the way to your turn, you might already have 2 or 3 creatures again. And when you're playing creature heavy, because we're probably going to be on the heavier side, probably, you know, maybe 40-ish creatures, this is a card you want. It's actually really cool. Big, big, big fan. Now, this is one, let's see, Descendants Path. This is one I've kind of just been toying around with and debating how badly I want to play it. But at the beginning of your upkeep, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card that shares a creature type with a creature you control, since we're playing all slivers, obviously, you can cast a card without paying its cost. Otherwise, put that card on the bottom of your library. So this is cool because then you just get like free stuff, which is amazing. What do you mean 6 mana though? Yes, it's 6 mana because you get free stuff all the time. Like, why wouldn't it be 6 mana? Like, your opponent's cast anything and you're like, great, look at the top card. If it's a creature, I get it for free. Like, yes, it's totally fine at 6 mana. Trust me. I play it a lot. But yeah, Descendants Path is actually a really cool card, especially in a deck like this where we're playing all the same things, because we just get free stuff. So it's just like, great. Even the ones that cost like 5 or 6 or whatever, it's just like, cool, I just get a free card. So love that as well. And again, this is kind of why the cards that are protecting our creatures in the event of like sweepers and whatever, I don't care about as much, because we have ways to just get free things. So it's just like, even if I lose my board, I could be rebuilt in a turn or two, you know? So this is partly why I'm just kind of like, okay, on the other cards. Profane Tutor is fine, but I'm probably going to put it in the no pile. I don't think we're actually going to play that. Icon of Ancestry, I do like, as it's another way to pump your team, or actually search for things that are also good too. Icon of Ancestry. So you choose a creature type. Obviously, we would choose Slivers. Creature you control get +1/+1, and then you look at the top 3 cards of your library, you reveal a card from the chosen type, put the rest on the bottom. So into your opponent's turn, if you just don't have mana to spend, or mana to do anything with, you just go ahead, search, put a thing in your hand, set up the next turn. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, when you get to start cascading, yeah. It is very good. That's what I'm saying. Like, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, that's going to get played. Obviously, Arcane Signet, because every Commander deck should probably be playing Arcane Signet. The card is silly. Here's another one, though, and I haven't put this in a deck yet, but it just came across my radar with some stuff I had in a pile. But you choose a creature type, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards of the chosen type, where X is the number of creatures you control of that type. Put those onto the battlefield, shuffle the rest. Like, this seems very good. You know, you pay 7. Basically, I choose Slivers. If I have like 5 Slivers out, then I get to just keep going until I get to 5 Slivers. And then they just go onto the battlefield. It seems pretty good. Can't really go against that, so maybe. Putrefy, Mortify, I'm going to put off to the maybe side, because we might be rocking these, just as more versatile ways to kill things since we have access to the mana. Now, this is funny, because this is something I considered, and Maskwood Nexus is currently standard. So most people know what this is. But creatures you control have every creature type. This is game 2 for spells you control, blah, 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 blah. But you can pay 3, make a 2/2 shapeshifter that happens to be a sliver. I mean, I don't know if I want to play this or not, but it definitely is on the like maybe pile. They're just like nothing else. They're just like, okay, I'll make another thing that has all these abilities, right? So like maybe it's at least like got me to think enough to consider it. Here's another one that's a choose a creature thing. And I normally don't play this particular one, but it might work in here. But you choose a creature type, and then you add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, spend the mana only to cast creatures of the chosen type. So if we're trying to smooth out our mana, this seems reasonable. It's just like another way to get any color we want. So I'm like, you know, I'm not really too mad at that. Darkstill Ingot, I don't know if we need or not. Mostly like it's in the maybe pile. Like, I think I'm gonna be okay mana wise. There is a Herald's Horn. I'm not totally sure how much I love this. except for the fact that it does make creatures cost 1 less, and we do have a fair amount of things that have colorless mana in their casting costs. A good creature factory in a deck that needs creatures. Yeah, might be okay. But this isn't bad. At the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you reveal it, put it in your hand. So it's another way to just get cards. So it'll probably make the cut. Also, randomly, these are starting to get a little bit pricey, so you may want to get your hands on those. Do I play Tabletop Simulator? I believe I might have played it once for like a board game thing, and that's it. I really don't use it. Skyclave Relic. Yeah, I could see that. But if I was going to play Skyclave Relic, why I would just play Darkstilling it. I mean, sure, I could pay the kicker and get the extras, but by then I probably don't really need it with this deck. So I'd probably just play Darkstilling it, because this is also, like, doesn't get killed whenever somebody plays, like, an Artifact Sweeper or something. Another fun one, which I've never really had the opportunity to play, but Eerie Ultimatum, which probably isn't going to make the cut. But, oop, I spelled it wrong here. There we go. But yeah, return any number of permanents with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. Like, I should have the mana for this, but I just find it amusing. So yeah, this is just kind of fun. You know, like, do I need it? Maybe not. It probably doesn't make the cut, but I'm amused by it, so it'll go in my maybe pile. I was debating playing Dig Up, just a way to make sure we have the mana, but it's not going to make the cut. Also, I like the idea of Haunting Voyage to get all my slivers back. But really, if I was going to do that, I might as well just play Eerie Ultimatum, right? That's going to be 7 mana. This is going to be 7 mana because you're going to have to foretell it and then get all of 1 creature type. So, nah, like, it's fine, but probably doesn't make the cut, unfortunately. Another area. Oh yeah, forgot about this one. Door of Destinies, also another good one. So again, choose a creature type. Obviously, Slivers. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on Door of Destinies. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each counter on Door of Destinies. So obviously, we want to play this one. Like, you just get to make all your creatures bigger perpetually. And this is why I was saying, like, some of the stuff is like, I guess my creature's +2/+0. It's like, well, if I'm going to have all these artifacts that are also making my creatures bigger, how much do I care? This is an awkward but fun one. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, you may search your library for a creature card with the same total power and toughness and put it on the battlefield if you do shuffle your library. So basically, if you, in this deck, if you cast something that's a 3/3, you get to go get another 3/3. Or a 2/2, go get a 2/2. A 4/4, go get a 4/4. Or, if you were to cast one of your legendary slivers that's a 7/7, you can go get another 7/7. So, again, I don't know if it's really any good, but it at least makes me think that, like, I need to consider it. That's fine if it's slow. I'm okay with that. Like, because I have so many other ways to get creatures into play, I'm good with it. So, I'm willing to let it ride. Because I don't need it to ever get more than, like, 2 or 3 counters to be significant in here. Obviously, we have a Chromatic Lantern. I'm going to go ahead and play that because, 5 colors and whatever. I considered Withem of the Wild, but we have so many things that give stuff bonuses and so many things that give stuff haste that I'm not really that excited by it. Eladamri's Call is a tutor, basically, to find whatever one you need at the time. This feels like a cop-out, but I feel like most green commander decks that play creatures are probably playing this. But basically, non-token creature in the battlefield, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control, you just get to draw a card. And since you're playing a bunch of different creatures, it's just like, well, do we just play this to have another way to get free cards? What do you mean? Might not work with the pump slivers because, what do you mean? I'm okay with that. I mean, honestly, it's just probably not going to make the cut just because I have so many other things I want to play. I put this in the pile just so I know somebody's going to bring it up because I can play blue. No. There you go. We addressed it. That's Ristic Study, by the way, for those of you that don't know. Probably just not making the cut. I honestly, if I could, Ristic Study would be on my ban list. I obviously, we're not banning it or whatever. Plus, there's so many versions people spent money on to whatever. But I just meh. It's just not exciting. I might actually just play a counterspell though. I was thinking about this. I never play with counterspell. Might be worth it just to play one, just because I can. As dumb as that sounds, but it's literally kind of just because I can. This one we also like, especially if we're getting a lot of free creatures. Creatures you control +1 and flying and indestructible. At the beginning of your upkeep, you have to sacrifice a creature, which is mostly fine. If you can't, you get rid of Eldrazi Monument. I kind of like this, though, as a finisher of sorts, right? It's another way to give everything flying, everything +1/+1. However, the problem here is we already have 3 or 4 things that give our stuff flying, so we probably just don't need this. So it gets cut. Good card, but probably just gets cut here. Funny as it is, the one Heroic Intervention I had handy is a pre-release version still in this package, but we might just play Heroic Intervention. This is my collection. My collection is so wild, y'all. Seriously, I have the weirdest eclectic mix of stuff. But yeah, this probably gets played. We definitely want to play Vanquisher's Banner. Big fan of this card if you're playing a creature heavy deck. There you go, Vanquisher's Banner. Choose a creature type. Creature you control get +1/+1, and then whenever you cast a spell, the chosen type, you get to draw a card. So again, we have a bunch of stuff that's giving us free creatures, stuff that's pumping our team, stuff's giving us cards. So we shouldn't really have... Honestly, I'm tempted to cut the sliver that lets us draw cards. Because we have so many artifacts that are just... and enchantments that are getting us bonus cards. I don't even know if it matters. I do have a coat of arms. For those of you, I assume most people know what a coat of arms is if you play Commander, but maybe you don't. 5 mana, each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares a creature type with it. So basically, if you have 5 slivers, they're all +4/+4. So that's actually pretty cool. I think I'm still going to play... this is how weird, Commander is. Even looking at a card like Coat of Arms, it's only giving me creature bonuses. And that's weird to say, because in a lot of cases, it's going to be +3 to +6, right? But it's just giving us creature bonuses. I don't even know if that's good enough to make the cut right now, when we have other things that give us a bonus and give us cards, or give us a bonus and give us a free card in our hand, or give us a bonus, make something, I don't know, flying or unblockable, whatever. There's all these other things that is just getting a bonus good enough. I'm going to assume it is, but interesting. Also another one, which by the way, these are starting to get kind of pricey, but if you've been playing Magic for the last couple of years, you probably know about the Great Hinge. Creatures you control come into play with a +1/+1 and draw a card. I mean, I assume we play this. I mean, we get to tap for 2 green and gain a life. Also makes the life gain slivers less exciting because of stuff like this. So, maybe. And then, here's one I also considered. But Pyre of Heroes. But yeah, Pyre of Heroes. Sacrifice a creature, search your library for a creature card that shares a type with it, which is going to be slivers, so I can kind of just keep leveling up to whatever slivers I want. Not to count the fact that I have some things that when a sliver comes into play, we'll get another ability. Hey, somebody just subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for that. So much appreciated. Yeah, I guess just say that. If you want to subscribe, donate, whatever, all those buttons are still there. You can do all that. Or if you just want to join the channel, though, you can still do that. So thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. I had to work really hard to make sure there's still content for the weekend, despite all the holiday stuff that was going on. Mirari's Wake. This lets mana tap for double and give things +1/+1. So, I guess. Don't know how I feel about it. I like it. It's a good card. Maybe it goes in. Maybe it doesn't. I don't really know. Elemental Bond, I don't mind this. Generally, creature with power 3 or bigger comes into battlefield, you draw a card. But we're going to have so many things that draw cards. I don't know if we need it. Kadama's Reach, when I didn't know what lands I wanted to play, I kind of had that aside. And then there's like the selection of Signets and Soul Ring, which I think is mostly fine. It's just a matter of how many of them I feel like we need or want to play. I don't know, honestly, and I just don't know if we're going to have room. But with us having a bunch of multi-lands, maybe we'll be fine without them. But without the Signets and the Soul Rings, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 plus, I believe we said 43 was the other count. 47 and 19 is 66. That actually almost works. Might have accidentally got down to the number. Now, admittedly, we're not playing all these yet, but these could be filler if, I mean, but that's still only 34 lands, which could get us there. Not the worst thing. I'm also like, I could do without Pyre of Heroes probably. We also do have a few things that make mana in this pile too. We have like Arcane Signets. We've got Chromatic Lantern. We have some Slivers that produce mana. So there's a few things we could do without. Man, it's crazy that I'm actually saying like I'm probably going to cut Mirari's Wake. And Mirari's Wake's a damn good Magic card, but I think I'm doing without Mirari's Wake. That is a weird feeling, but I think it's getting cut. And that still leaves me these 4 that I don't know what I'm doing with yet. The Mortify, Putrefy, Darksteel Ingot, and Eerie Ultimatum. So yeah, still some choices to be made here. But I think that's it mostly. I think spell-wise, it's just going to be how many of these I feel I need to be playing. Because the interesting thing is, because of the way the deck's built, slivers are spells in a lot of ways, right? You have slivers that can destroy stuff. Slivers that, you know, can get rid of enchantments or artifacts. Slivers that gain life. Slivers that deal damage, right? So you don't need all that many spells. Your creatures are your spells in a lot of ways. Yeah, Pyre's a neat thing. You know, I don't hate Pyre. It's just part of it is I can, like, unless I feel I need to, like, I don't even know if I really want to play Eldamri's Call, which just goes and gets whatever card I want whenever, right? And the card's good, but part of me feels like, you know, I'm already going to have the Great Hinge, Vanquisher's Banner, Herald's Horn, you know, just like all these things that, you know, Icon of Ancestry, Descendant's Path, Lurking Predators, Kindred Summons, like all these things that are going and getting creatures. Like if I just don't have the right one, I think I'm okay with that. Plus, I already have the one that's going to be cascading as well that's going to get me some free creatures. I feel the mana rocks in a mana base that can use green ramp cards is just a liability. If you could use mana fixing lands, if I can mana fix ramp. Yeah, I see that to a point, but it's also about, like, I don't know how much green heavy. Like, I'm going to go across the board pretty evenly. Like, and just gamble, because like I can fetch any color mana, whether I need to do it with a duel or with a shock land. New to the channel, so also new to Commander. Do you end up doing gameplay with these? Nah, maybe at some point I'll be on somebody's channel or just goofing off for fun, but I don't put them up on my channel because real talk, people just bitch, so I just don't. Like I'm usually not that direct and rude, but in this case, yes. Like everybody's like, well, I can't see the certain card, or why are you doing this strategy? Why are you not playing this card? Well, and we're just playing for fun, so I just don't have time for the negativity. So if somebody invites me to play on their channel or whatever, I do, and just have a good time with that. But the thing is, ultimately, whether you see a game with the deck or not, it's not really telling anything. Right, you're playing a deck in a randomized game with 100 different cards in the deck. Whatever, lands being what they are. You know what I'm saying, though. 100 different cards in the deck, and whatever happens one game is not going to be what happens the next game. I already tell people put too much weight into win-losses just watching my daily gameplay videos. Like, those really aren't telling on a sample size of like 6 to 8 games, but people will still take it as the gospel and do whatever they're going to do with that. In the reality, You should just be looking for other context. Like, honestly, I think in Commander, this whole deck building process and just seeing different cards and seeing different people's ideas is more important than actually seeing the deck played. Because even today, I've been watching the chat and we've seen people go like, oh, I hadn't thought about that card, or that's a cool combo with this thing, or whatever, right? Even though I'm not min-maxing my deck in any way, I'm still finding fun things to play that other people may not have considered, or cards they just didn't know existed, right? So that's the more interesting part than even watching people play it, at least in my eyes. On the 4, I think you can keep Eerie Ultimatum. The other 3 are a bit weak sauce. I think they're all fine, honestly. Like, especially if I'm choosing to not play more tutors. That's the thing. Yeah, even more tricky and replant. Yeah, that's true. I would keep the Boros, Selesnya, Izzet, Signets. Those seem to be the color pairs that show up the most. And the slivers we left. That's probably accurate. You know, if you wanted to look at the pile that remains. Blue, green, white, black. Black's probably the least. Actually, I don't know. There are a few blue ones. I was going to say green, red, white are probably... Yeah, probably green, red, white, then blue, then black. This is probably with what's left, if I were just guessing. I'm sure if I put them in, I could look at actual numbers. But people ask me too, you know, do you have your deck list somewhere? Like, I will never. I say never. I probably won't have my deck list anywhere just because it's just so much effort to put 100 cards into a deck list, especially knowing that I'm probably going to change it regularly. Like, I don't keep up with any of that stuff. Like, people want my deck list for my Rith Commander deck, and every time I play it, it's different. There's no way I would be updating a list with 100 cards regularly and even remember to do it. Because sometimes I just do it on the whim because, like, I open, I don't know, let's say Commander Legends, and I'm like, oh, this card would be fun to play with. I'm going to shove that in my deck. And then that's it, right? And then I just take out something, and that's it. I don't think about it. Sometimes I've actually been, especially during the pandemic, been a couple months since I even played the deck or made a change, and forget I even put a card in there. So there's no way I'm updating a deck list, you know? It's just one of those things. But yeah, so that's probably where we're at. Probably the rest of the stuff is going to end up being signets, especially to make sure that, like, we can cast on time some of these things like Kindred Summons or, you know, Lurking Predators or whatever. We still want to make sure we're hitting that 6-7 mana point. But otherwise, I mean, we get to play a big pile of slivers, which I feel pretty good about this pile. Not too upset about this pile. Obviously, we'll have these other 4 big uns in there. Playing this one as our commander. These don't make the cut. I think I am still going to go ahead and play these. And that still leaves plenty of room. And then, like I said, lands, I can just tell you right now, it's going to be 5 color lands. Probably, let me check over here. It'll probably just be whatever duels, fetches, and shocks I have left or have just sitting in a binder. Let's see what I've got in here. I'm sure people want to see what's sitting in this pile because everybody's like, I want to see. But, you know, that's kind of part of what we're doing. You have over 15 EDH. I literally only have 3. This is only going to be my 3rd. I actually don't keep a lot of commander decks. And I only really play one most of the time. This is more just a fun exercise for myself and to have a spare deck. But, yeah, let me clear some of this mess out so I have some room to work. But yeah, this is one spot I have stuff. And then I have like a sorted box of cards over here to my left that you can't see off camera. But yeah, so I have... let me get my mouse out of the way and I can slide this up a little bit more. Really didn't plan on putting my binder on camera, or a binder on camera. But yeah, so this one just has like lands in the backside here. So I'll obviously play one of each of those. I'll play one of each of these. Do I have all 10 here? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. What am I missing? Oh, I have Taigas in another. No, Taigas are down there. I'm missing one. Well, I do have it, though. I just got to figure out what deck I put it in. But yeah, I'll put one of each of those in. You listen to the podcast, too? Much appreciated. I like deck lists just because seeing the numbers, like average CMCs and curves. Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. Like in Commander, Like, I'm playing this deck. It's going to have stuff all over the curve. Didn't even care. I will still be able to cast my cards fine. Like, literally, during this whole process, not once did I like, except for the fact that I wanted a couple of 1-mana things and at least some number of 2-mana things because I'm playing the Cascade Sliver. Otherwise, doesn't phase me at all. Urza's Incubator, it's probably fine. Not my jam, but I could see why somebody would play it. But yeah, like, and again, it's kind of like, all right, it makes my stuff cheaper, but does it like do anything? You know what I mean? Like, I'm needing my cards to do more because I'm playing fewer of the like tutor effects and stuff. So I need my cards to actually be doing things when they get into play, and that's a bigger deal to me in the way that I'm building. But yeah, all the fetches I do have. I'll probably play some of my newer fetches that I got out of whatever that was. Time Spiral Remastered, so I'll go through my boxes and pull those. And then the shocks. I have the shocks. Most of these are hanging out in like modern or legacy decks. So I'll go through and pull one of each of these and I'll play those. And then it's a matter of if I want to play like the Pain lands or not. I could do that if we wanted to, but I probably won't. I don't think I'll need to. With all the 5-color lands, I think it's going to be mostly fine. I don't think that's really necessary. Gotta hang out. Thanks for stream. Yeah, no problem, Thomas. Thanks for coming by. Especially on an unscheduled thing. Yeah, I do have the dual lands. And you know, this is kind of a tough thing too, because I have some people that get mad when they see my decks and they're like, oh, well, I would play this too if I could buy a whatever. You know, they always say some big number, some $50,000 deck or whatever. But it's like, what do you want me to do, right? Like, I've had these cards literally since, some of them since I started playing Magic. You know, way back in whatever that was, 95 or whatever. So, like, I just have them. I had these from when they were $8 and $10, some of them. And some of them are beat to hell because I played a bunch without sleeves in the beginning because we didn't even have sleeves. So it's not even like I went and just bought these just to build the deck. Like, literally every commander deck I build, I either build with stuff I already own or if they're cheap to pick up. Now, if I happen to acquire some cards through buying collections or trading or whatever, cool. I own them, I have them, I'll put them into a deck. But rarely do I go out of my way and spend just like $800 to finish off a deck. I've never done that. I just don't. Hell, like I said, my Rift deck has literally been the same commander since the beginning, and I just rotate cards in and out of there. But they just happen to be cards that I own. You know, but, and I get it, where people are mad that like, they can't play duels because duels, you know, even the cheap ones now are like $400 or whatever. Like, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. That being said, there are a lot of reasonable options. Like, playing the shock lands is more than reasonable, especially in Commander, because the 2-life almost is negligible. So I would just say, like, if you're really upset about not having the duels, just go ahead and get the shock lands. I mean, a lot of those are still like $7 to $10 or whatever anyway. Go scoop them up. Like, you're paying a 10th as much. Hell, less than that, actually. You're playing like a 60th as much as a lot of the others. So go ahead and just scoop them and play with them. I think it's smart. Does people be salty if they play? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Sort of duels when your daughter first born in 08. You know what, though? There's nothing wrong with selling cards. I think a lot of times people will look back and say, like, I wish I would have held it and whatever. But my thing is this. If you just sold them because you were like, I'm probably never going to play Magic again or whatever, I need to sell these. Okay, I get it why you feel bad. But like in my case, over the years, I sold Magic cards to pay off student loans. I paid rent. I bought a car. I did whatever, right? So those all helped fix and enhance my life in some ways to get me to where I am today. So I have no regrets about selling the stuff I sold when I sold it. Hell, I used some to pay for things for business, you know, like for all kinds of things. So there's no way I'm going to be upset that I got rid of mine. That's just cost of doing business. Have a wheel deck with no wheel because, yeah, I get it, right? Yeah, the Wheel of Fortunes are crazy expensive right now. Hell, I saw the, oh man, somebody was getting like a couple grand for the Judge foil one, which is super expensive now. I don't run duels even when proxying in 3 colors. Yeah, and I'll say this too, like, I don't have a problem with people proxying some cards, especially if they're pricier cards, or if I know you are just testing out a deck and you want to test something before like investing in it. The only time I have problems with proxies is when I play against somebody and like 90% of their deck is proxied and they have 5 decks and they're all proxies. It's like at some point you're not even participating in the hobby, you're not collecting cards. And don't get me wrong, like I've told y'all before, I've been beyond poor. I've been destitute. You know, I wouldn't even call it poor. So like I get not having things and not being able to afford things or whatever, but like there are a ton of commander decks you can build without spending a bunch of money. And hell, at some point, there's some you could build that are cheaper than buying all the fancy printer paper and all the ink or whatever to keep printing cards, because that ain't cheap. You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where you've probably spent $200 on just ink and paper to just print all those cards out constantly and keep building all those commander decks. So, like, at some point, you could have just built a cheaper commander deck. Now, is it the big over-the-top fancy? But no, but there's stuff you can build. Hell, even if you just buy one of the retail commander decks, some of those are actually really good. And then you could just buff those up with some commons and uncommons from a few sets, especially with all the reprints, and then go for it. So I don't have a problem with that. I think it's okay to proxy, but I think there is a limit. And people will say, no, that's not true. You should be able to proxy, whatever. And like that, you know, I get it. That's their perspective. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. I just don't agree with it. Because at some point, you are just not participating in the same game. That's my only issue. Only proxy cards I own with real cards. Yeah, and that's reasonable too, right? I've seen some people go like, hey, I own these, and they just show them in the hard plastic or whatever, but like I don't necessarily want to shuffle them. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, buying a nice precon I think is a total reasonable thing to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But yeah, so the whole proxy thing, like I said, I don't on its face have a problem with it. I just think there's got to be some limit. Like when everything basically in your deck is proxied except for basic lands, and you're just proxying every single deck, it's like, okay, like it just feels weird, right? Because at some point you're not supporting wizards, you're not supporting local stores, you're not even supporting backpack dealers or whatever. Like you're saying, like I just don't, I don't know. I guess for me personally, I just can't. I'm too big on the belief that like for me to enjoy building a community and playing a thing or whatever, like I have to at some point invest into that thing. That's just my personal view, right? It also bothers me when I see people who say Magic's too expensive, you have to proxy all the stuff, whatever. But then I see that person bragging about, oh, well, we went to this nice restaurant and we bought this new PlayStation 5 with 5 games and we did this thing. And it's just like, okay, you're just choosing where to spend your money. That's fine. But then to come back and be like, no, but I have to proxy all these. It's like, do you though? Do you? You know, like, so I don't know. But like I said, I'm not going to tell anybody to not proxy anything because that just sounds crazy too. Like there's a point where I get it. You're like, hey, I want to play with the Gaia's Cradle, but I can't find one for under $800 or whatever. It's like, cool. Go ahead, proxy a Gaia's Cradle. I ain't got a problem with it. You know what I mean? Like that's reasonable. If you even were saying I want to build a sliver deck, but I haven't been able to afford a sliver queen and I really want to put one in my deck, like cool, go ahead, proxy it. Don't have a problem with it. Sliver queens are like $200 or $300. I get it, right? No problem with that. But when you're just like, I've seen people literally proxy out stuff and it's a pile of things, even the card, you know, like, I don't know, like Swords to Plowshares that you can pick those up for like $1 or $2. You know, people still have those proxied. And I'm like, really? What are we doing? You know, like it almost costs you as much to print that, you know, it feels like, than it would to just acquire one. And it's not totally true. Printing that probably costs you like 18 cents or something. But fact of the matter, you know, it's going to be different for everybody. And, you know, because I've had people ask me before, what's my stance on proxying cards or whatever. And like, I think it's fine. I just think at some point, you know, how do you want the stores, tournament organizers, players, whatever, to still be there in the future? You know what I mean? And I also have to wonder when I see some of these people that say like they have to proxy everything. Like, at what point is it cheap enough that you don't proxy it? right? Does everything have to be literally, I don't know, 50 cents or less for them to not want to proxy everything? Like, I don't know the answer. Like, but there's got to be a bottom line. Like, and one of the tough things, and this is one of the hard things about Magic or even Pokemon or whatever, is that you have to have cards worth money so people are interested in the game. And I know that's a hard thing for people to grasp sometimes, but part of the appeal is that people will convince themselves, I can go buy this box of cards because I know some number of these will be worth money in the future. And that's how they justify purchases. You know, you get to be in a news story on Forbes or whatever because somebody on Antiques Roadshow took a pile of like Beta Unlimited cards and found out they were worth like $10,000 or whatever, right? Like, you don't get that and get people talking about your game or get people investing or buying things if they're just not worth stuff. And it sucks because it's almost a necessary evil. Because honestly, go over the years, look at all the other card games that never had stuff worth anything or whatever. People didn't even bother building websites to resell the singles because there wasn't enough money in it. I mean, that's it at the end of the day. Yeah, I do the same thing. I do the same thing. I at least try to buy something, you know, whether it's just a pack of sleeves or whatever, just because. You know, or especially if they have multiple things. Like if they do like comic books or whatever, like, yeah, I'll just buy a graphic novel or something and then just have it. Yeah, see, Victoria, exactly. You wouldn't play if cards had no value. And that's my point, right? All these people that say, oh, well, they need to reprint this and this needs to get cheaper. Like, don't get me wrong. It is tough when a bunch of the good cards are like $50 plus. Totally understand that. But something is going to be expensive and something kind of needs to be expensive. And then the other problem you have is that some of those same people get mad at things like Secret Lair, where Wizards is basically saying, okay, we're not going to devalue everything else. We're just going to make a special thing. And if you want this, this will be worth something later because it's a rare thing we're only going to print one time. And then now people are mad about that. And it's like, oh, why are they selling these 6 cards for $30 or whatever, or $40? And I was like, who cares? They could sell them for $1,000. You don't have to buy them. They're making a collectible completely separate that doesn't affect anything, that you don't have to buy. They're all reprints. Like, that should be what you want. So as the price gets brought down on other things, there's still these rare things for the whales or the collectors or whatever to go chase down. That seems like a good compromise to me. But, you know, people still mad at it. So I don't really know. I don't know if there is a good answer. Ultimately, you know, if we really think about it, like I don't know if there is a way that people will eventually be happy with everything. You know, I think people who just it's hard, man. Like I go all the way back and I use the example of Oath of the Gatewatch a lot. But that was a period of time where a lot of standard cards had started getting very expensive. And people are like, standard shouldn't be an expensive format. That should be the cheap one so people can buy decks and whatever. So over the next couple of sets, pretty much felt like leading up to Oath of the Gatewatch. And this is just before I got to Wizards, so I don't know if this was intentional or not. But the power level of cards was a little bit lower. You know, they didn't really put too many things at Mythic or whatever that were tournament viable and whatever. But then I remember getting to Oath of the Gatewatch and people being upset and saying like, well, it's not even worth drafting because none of the cards are worth anything. And it's like, yeah, that's what everybody wanted. You know what I mean? Like, and I knew ultimately that was not going to work out for people, right? Because basically what players are saying is they want stuff to be cheap when they need to acquire them. They want stuff to be worth something when they go to sell them. The problem is you can't have both of those things, right? Something's going to be expensive and just needs to be expensive. That's just the way it is. Yep, they absolutely would. Yeah, and it's tough. Yeah, exactly. Secret Lair shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, so it's a tough thing. You know, I don't think people really understand that though. Like, if things are super cheap when they come out, they're probably going to stay really cheap, at least for the foreseeable future. Like, at some point in the far future, eventually value will go up just because some cards get lost, destroyed, whatever, something gets popular in Commander, whatever, right? But realistically, most of them would stay pretty cheap. And then nobody would care. And you would never be able to resell your cards, or not in any real value or real quantity, because a bunch of people wouldn't really want them. There'd be plenty out there at any price. And whether we like it or not, so many Magic players have been able to barter Magic for things in their life. I know people, like I said, have used Magic to pay rent, to buy food, to get cards. How I know one guy, he paid off the last like third of his mortgage with Magic cards. You know, like that doesn't happen if those cards aren't worth anything, right? You have full websites that are generating content and giving deck lists and putting up videos and doing all this stuff. They only get to do that because they're making money off the Magic singles, right? So they can pay these writers or whatever to keep drawing you to the website. If that wasn't a thing that they would get to sell cards, then eventually they don't pay those writers and you don't get all that extra content. Spent 10 years in financial. People hurt me with their economic ideas. Oh, dude, I have no doubt. No doubt that's true. So yeah, it's tough, right? Like there is a whole, I don't even know if I want to say economy, a whole infrastructure to Magic and gaming that's built around cards being worth something. And same thing, Pokemon, to a lesser extent Yu-Gi-Oh, because Yu-Gi-Oh just wrecks their prices left and right. So like Yu-Gi-Oh's worse because things can be hot, but they might be hot for like 30 days. Like there was one set where they make, I guess they call it like a ghost foil, which is like the rare foil that you get like once per couple of boxes or whatever. And that thing, I can't remember which one it was, but there was one that was like $100 right out of the gate, and it was tournament viable or whatever. So of course people wanted it. And then literally the next month, there was a structure deck, which is basically their pre-con decks. They came out and had a regular copy of that in there and just tanked the value of the other card. Which also means they had already planned to do that, because you don't really there's no way you're going to know a card's hot and sought after and then just make a print run in the next like 30 to 45 days, right? Those are already in process. The cards are already done. They're being printed, shipped, whatever. So they had intentionally planned to do that. So that's even worse, because then you get people who run out and do invest and buy a card, and they don't even get to realize or enjoy the value for a full month and a half, right? There's already a reprint out there. So like that's happened a couple times. So yeah, you kind of don't have a great situation, no matter what you want to do. But for my money, I think the way things are going is probably about right. Now, there's also some weird situations, like right now, where you get like a card like Meat Hook Massacre that's just expensive. It's like $40 or something. Let me go look. I don't even know what a Meat Hook Massacre goes for anymore. But I remember it being pretty pricey. Let's see. Meat Hook Massacre is currently $45. Yeah. And that's a standard legal card, right? So it just came out. So that's even weirder, right? Because you can't even really be mad at Wizards, because the expensive card you want can be acquired in a $4 booster right now. It is a gamble, obviously, but it is still available and still technically being printed, so you can get your hands on it. But it happens to be a playable card at Mythic. But at the same time, it's one of the like 8 or 10 cards in the set people can look at and be like, well, if I draft and I open one of these, I'm getting more money back right out of the draft, so that's pretty cool. Or if I get prize packs from playing tournament, there's a chance I could hit one of these, right? And people are excited to do things, right? Whereas if this was the most expensive card in the set, let's say it, I don't know, making up like $7, right? And everything else was less than $7. Like, people aren't going to be excited to booster draft. People don't want prize packs out of a tournament or whatever, right? Like, this just becomes not a thing. Great Henge is still expensive. That's another one. I don't think people understand it's still pricey as well. But you're right. It did peak at like $45, $50 in standard. Right now, yeah, it's between the regular versions are like $40. Promo versions are like $60. So yeah, still expensive if you want one. Yeah. But that's my point though, right? Like you're either asking them to not put things in a set that are sought after or powerful or whatever at Rare and Mythic, or you can have them do that and at least have your stuff be worth something. So yeah, I will say they did it for a while and it didn't work for anybody. Like, and maybe because that was so long ago, I mean, that's what, 7 years ago or something now? Like, 8 years ago, Oath of the Gatewatch? But like, it's hard for people to process, that, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, yeah, it was. Nobody wanted to draft. Like, you could have got Oath of the Gatewatch boxes for basically at cost for a while, because some people were just trying to dump them and get out from under them because they had too many. Like, but there was a long stretch where you could have got Oath of the Gatewatch boxes for like $80, and you didn't even have to look hard for them. Like, because nobody wanted them. They just had no. Even now, if you go back to Oath of the Gatewatchers, it took a while for any of that stuff to become valuable, and some of them still aren't valuable. I just will say now they're worth something. It's tough. Yeah, there you go. If you got 2 great hinges, you got a little money on you. So yeah, there's a lot of that type of stuff. But I don't know. Like, and it's tough, right? And I get why somebody would still want to proxy that, right? If you want to play it in your commander deck, I get it, right? You're like, man, I really want to play with Great Hinge, or I really want to play with Meat Hook Massacre, but like they're like $40, $50. All right, cool. I get it. And like I said, if you've got 3, 4 cards proxied and they're all expensive, like I totally understand. I only have a problem when I see people literally just proxying so much stuff. And it's like, well, then you didn't even build a deck. Like, I'd rather play against somebody's homebrewed, well, I guess technically almost everything's homebrewed in Commander, but you know what I'm saying? Just like off the cuff, collection built deck, like whatever. Let's do that. And I would be way more entertained playing against that than just like staring at a bunch of printouts. Like, I get it. It's tough. Like, some of it's pricey, like not denying any of that. But at some point I have to ask people, like, when are you supporting the stores, the players, the games, whatever. Pokemon used to tank high cost cards all the time. Any card over 50 was probably going to be in a box soonish. Yeah. And you know what they realized? That got people talking about the game less. So now what they do is they'll just still print the same cards, but they'll print like the crazy foil singular, 1 per case card or whatever. And then that's their new chase card. Which, I don't have a problem with that either. But then again, we did that, and then people also got upset that Wizard was just putting inserts and booster packs, or when we did all the invocations and everything. Now, I will say this. I don't think we needed them in every set, because we did do that stretch where we got them for a long time, right? Because we got them all the way through Amonkhet or whatever, right? I don't think we needed them every set, and I think that was the only issue I had with it. I think we could have still done them, or if we do them every set, have like 5 or whatever, right? And they're 1 per case or 1 per 2 cases, or however rare frequency you want them to be. And then you open a special rare card that's worth like $800 or $1,000. That's exciting for people. I'd have been totally okay with that. I don't think you needed to have like each set gets 15 or whatever it was, right? Like, I think that was a little overdone. And local stores around here, proxy limiteds are 1/4 of the deck on tournaments. That's fair. I could see that. I hadn't even seen the new Hidetsugu, so I'll have to go check that out later. I saw some people posting some artwork, some cards, but I didn't read them in detail. Except for the one everybody's going gaga about giving everything ninjutsu, which I think is insane on a card, but hey, we'll see how tough it is to deal with. There'll probably be some other card you get to play that, like, creatures can only interplay if they're cast or something, like, and make that ability not really matter that much. So who knows? That's why when people see cards, they get previewed and they're like, oh, this is the most busted thing ever. Whatever. I'm like, we've literally seen like 5 cards from this set. Like, hold your horses for a second. Playgroup is planning to limit the amount of proxies to €100 per deck. That's another way to do it. Dollar value. I feel like that should be dollar value or cards. Like, I think that would be reasonable if you said like €100 or 5 cards or something, right? €100 or 10 cards, right? I think that would be fair, because somebody might need to for real proxy, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 $10 cards, right? Or $20 cards. But then somebody else, like we were saying earlier, might just be like, man, I want to proxy Gaia's Cradle, right? And that's already going to be $800. Only available. Oh, yeah. I did see that. Where it had like the 4 different colors of neon or whatever. Yeah, I did see that. I guess that's what that was. I didn't understand how they were going to be available. I just knew they were going to be rare. Oh, yeah, because never mind. I did see people. I know why I saw that conversation now. Because people were mad because one of them is going to be for events or something at WPN stores. And I think that's the only way you can get one of them. So yeah. All right. I think that's fine too though, right? It's a super rare card. It's just another version of a normal card, and it can drive the activity you want, right? Whether that's buying boosters, going to local stores, going to a special event, whatever it is to acquire the card. I think that's totally fine too. And you know it's going to have a limited number available, so yeah, I'm good with it. I wonder if they could do some special cards that can be in every set for a few years, rather than specific ones in a set itself. Um, you kind of have that with the list because some stuff gets put on the list and it stays there for like 2 sets or 3 sets, and then it gets rotated out. So that's kind of a thing. You know, so that's like the next thing. But I don't really know. I'm trying to think what else that would be. See you later, Nicodemus. Yeah, I'm about to take a break here myself and grab some food and watch some football. But I remember it's the yellow one. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't remember which was which, but yeah. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think what cards would go in a set that you would keep every set. The problem is you'd have to find space to do that. And again, we're talking about like how far do you devalue a card, right? Like let's just say we decided Emrakul, Liliana of the Veil. I'm trying to think of other cards that are like 40, 50 plus dollars. But let's say you picked 3 cards that were $50 plus, and we put them in every set, and they're just a special insert. You get 1 per 6 boxes, 1 per 12 boxes, whatever. 1 per 2 cases. Let's say 12 boxes. If you have them there for 4 sets in a row, how low do we get the value on those cards? Or do those rare versions still hold their value? Because there's not that many of them. Like I don't know what the answer would be. It's an interesting idea to think about. Yeah, Fabled Passage. But then they also gave us free Fabled Passages as a buy a box promo or something. I think that's what yeah, because if you bought a box from a local retail store, you got some. Because I have 2 that are etched foils. So yeah, so they just found a way to give those away just as box toppers effectively. You know, so I don't have a problem with that either. So yeah, so it's very very interesting. There's some levers to pull and things to try, and you know, as much as you know, we talk about Wizards of Saddler, I got to give credit where it's due too. They are experimenting in a lot of ways to make some of that more affordable and more viable. Like you know, like we're saying, trying like, hey, you get all the regular versions, but there's going to be these other 3 or 4, and you have to do these special things to get it. You know, I don't have a problem with that. Same thing that we talk about, like the Fable passages, right? You need to reprint it, cool. We'll make it a buy a box, or you know, hey, go to your local store, spend $50, you get a Fable passage, right? So I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. I think that's totally viable, reasonable. I'm a big fan of using promos or rare versions of cards or rare cards to create activity. Whether, like I said, it's going and generating sales for Resale Store, getting people to go to an event, maybe getting people to participate in a thing online, whatever. Like, I have no problem with that at all. I think that's the best use of them. I think land should have that treatment. Maybe. I don't think I'd hate it. The original one's still 10. Promos are at 5. EDH subs at 2. Yeah, that's true. That's also weird too, though. You also don't want to devalue your cards too much, right? And one of the things I think Wizards does have to be concerned about is when we're talking about stuff like collector's boosters, right? Because in a lot of cases, the collector's booster version of a card is worth equal or less than the regular version card. So at some point, it's like, okay, well, if your regular versions aren't, or if your rare versions aren't rare, then why should somebody be excited about them? Unless they just like that treatment on a card, obviously, right? But the idea is you're selling it as this is more collectible, so this should be more rare and this should have more value. But if this trend continues, at what point do people say, like, well, I have all these like borderless cards, extended art cards, whatever they want to call them. I have these special foils, these ones with these special set art borders, whatever they call that stuff. But they're not worth any more than the other ones. But I spent more per booster to acquire them. Now, admittedly, you can get a special foil version of one or two of the high dollar cards out of there and it's worth a ton, right? But outside of those, if all those other versions aren't really worth much, why do people care? So it's good to have promos and it's good to have rare versions, but they should stay at promo level or rare version level quality and desirability. Because if they don't, then you have a tough situation there. Oh, I do too. I'm good with them existing, but they should be valuable. Because like, here's the other thing I've run into. That there have been multiple people I talked to that just assumed those were going to be worth more. And then when I tell them like, oh yeah, nobody really cares about these alternate borders or whatever. Like on the last set, like nobody really cares about the alternate, whatever we call the vampire or fang border or whatever. You know, nobody really cares more about the black and white art than the regular art, whatever, right? So now you have people, and rightfully so, if they're casual players, you would think, well, if these versions are different, they should obviously be worth more. But they're just not. So that's a little bit tough. I have the opposite of a finance guy. If it was on my power to lower the values of all the cards and to under 40 euros, would do it until my fingers break. I hate finance. I get you. I can totally understand that. And I don't think anybody's wrong for wanting that. I just think the reality is, if we have that, you lose a lot of desirability for the game. A whole lot. And I know it's hard to process, but like we've seen small samples of it, and each time it has just been a bad outcome. Modern Horizons 2 sketch variants were cheaper than the original ones for a while. Yeah. Over time, those are slowly starting to climb back up, but I think some of that is the community starting to realize like how many fewer of some of those there are than the other ones, and that's starting to kind of move the needle a little bit. But it was very, very different there. But you know what? I'm okay if you say a sketch or an etch version and a regular foil version appear a similar number of times and they carry similar value. I don't have a problem with that. It's just tough when you make something rare and it doesn't carry that rare price tag, because you're now creating a thing to use as a tool to drive sales or other activity that now isn't going to do that because people don't believe it's going to have its value. Like that's the toughest thing. Now, print all the regular versions you want, go bananas. Like, I don't have an issue with that, but I think you need some things, and again, they could be reprinted special, like secret layers or whatever, but for the game to continue as it is and keep people interested and keep getting news stories and have websites selling stuff and whatever, like, you ultimately have to have, well, really, I guess technically two things. You either have to have some things that are just rare, or you have to keep getting a large number of new faces into the community. But then again, that just creates some other cards become valuable because people want to, let's say, play Commander. Well, if they want a card from Tempest, well, there's only so many of those out and available, right? So now Wizards has to go, all right, well, does this make sense for us to put in the next Commander Legends or in a Commander deck or whatever? Okay, cool. But then in the time they decide to do that and put that out, well, something else is expensive, right? So you're always going to be chasing your tail on that. Like, there's no way to solve that. So it's better to just create rare versions of things, use them as tools, and keep people interested. Because let's be honest, like, if everything works that Wizards is wanting to do, right? You're doing these promotions with Post Malone, right? You're going to be driving people to local stores. They have some things they're working on with retailers. They've got a Magic animated series coming to Netflix, right? Each of these things should be generating more players. If they all generate players, well, cards are going to be worth more, right? There's no way around that. Like, there will be more people desiring more cards, and some of them just are not going to have quantities out there. But there's also some that don't have great places to be reprinted. So then the only places you can do stuff kinda is like secret layers. Because there's some cards like they don't make sense in a Commander product. Like, and this is the other problem too, right? That we have with Commander products is, in theory, you kind of think, okay, well, we'll just put them in Commander and that solves the problem. But it really doesn't, because if you put a card that, say, well, we've seen it before, right? The Merfolk, like the 3/1 has protection from everything, whatever. When that was in a Commander deck and it was $35-40, well, that one outsells all the other ones. So now you have one that retailers have to sell for 2-3 times as much to slow down the sales of it to balance out the other thing, right? So that's actually pretty tough too. So like it's a no-win situation, right? Because people have said, why don't they just toss this in a commander deck? Like, dude, you can't make a commander deck in current society with a $50 card in there unless you put $50 cards in every one of the commander decks. But then none of those will sell for $50 because even with that printing in there, the card maybe drops to like $30, maybe 25 if you're lucky. Even if you said 20, well, one card being $20 plus other cards in there that are going to be worth stuff because they're commander set only. Each of those decks you're talking about being worth, I don't know, easily $80 to $100 that you're going to expect to walk in and buy for like $35-40. That's going to be a hard situation because at that point people can make more money just cracking them instead of selling them whole. Scott says, I think I got several shock lands from promo packs in the year after the Guilds War block cycled out of standard. That was awesome, and they put them in packs. I was just not expecting it. Yeah, for sure. That was definitely a thing that happened. So yeah, opportunities are there. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody. This was a good long stream. What did we do, about 2.5 hours? Nah, 2 hours, 15 minutes. That's not too bad. Unless they make new cards in those decks that ends up being worth like 50. Yeah, and that happens. You know, like, but again, it's just because they printed a card, but everybody wants things, you know, so it's sad, but it's the most literal example of supply and demand, right? And if they keep growing the hobby and we keep getting more players, stuff's just going to keep being valuable. And then you get an even bigger situation because people already complain about Wizards printing a bunch of stuff, which I do think they're printing a bunch of stuff, but like, you can't keep printing, like, for them to keep up with all the cards that people want reprinted, they would have to print even more stuff or make sets that are gigantic, but then that further decreases the odds that you would open the card you want, which would make those still valuable whenever you open them. So it's a fine line, man. It's a lot harder to solve than I think people think it is. Yeah, this was actually interesting. Like I said, we ended up kind of where I thought we would. I ended up cutting a few cards I didn't think I was necessarily going to cut from the Sliver deck. But ultimately, I think where we ended was nice. I think the pile will be playable and fun. I think we have a bunch of cards I'm getting to use for the first time. None of these cards are in my other commander decks, which is also good. So I don't have to worry about pulling, except for maybe 1 or 2 of the lands. But I'll just not play those. I'll just put something else in their place. But yeah, overall, fun deck, fun day. Maybe I'll do this again. I don't know when I'm going to make another commander deck. So maybe when I buy a collection and feel like upgrading a deck or something, we'll do it. But I don't know. Maybe we make these Sunday afternoon conversations and we hop on and just BS around for 2 hours. I don't know. It was fun. But as always, if you haven't, please consider joining the channel. By the way, welcome to the 2 new members. I want to say thank you for that. Much appreciated. I just saw those this morning. If not, you know, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. All that stuff really helps. It's been a big help these last couple of weeks, seeing the extra activity, because things were down and we had to push really hard and trying to like get back at the algorithm or whatever you want to call it, like the recommendation system. It's been a lot of work the last few weeks. So I want to say thank you to all of you that have been active. I really appreciate it. It's helped a lot. Also, if you won the drawings, contact me. I already got back to everybody who won. Please get back to me so I can get things boxed up, because as soon as this snow clears, I would like to go to the post office and drop everything off. That would be really nice if you could make that possible. So if you're a winner and you're watching this, please hop over to my Discord, send me a message with your address so I can get your stuff bagged up. Actually, I have stuff bagged up. I just need to put your name and address on it and print a label so I can get it out the door. Though mail's not going out till probably Tuesday, looking at the weather outside, but we'll see. But either way, please get back to me. I want to mail stuff out. Also, thanks for everybody for participating. There were a ton of responses, and it was great. It means that the notification thing worked how it was supposed to, because so many people got back. So that was great. Is there a link to the deck you worked on? No, there's not, Scott. I don't type up any of my commander deck lists. I have 3 commander decks. This is literally my 3rd commander deck. And, like, if somebody literally wanted to just do it for me or something, maybe when it's done, but like I have no desire. Like if there's something particular you want to know, I can answer a question about it. But yeah, I have no desire to type up 100 card lists and put them into a thing. Like that just doesn't Like, it's funny because people think because I'm like on the commander advisory group, I like do this astute record keeping, and we're like, no, I don't. I am the most casual about my commander playing. So I will probably never have my commander decks on a site unless somebody else probably does. Or if I just have like a wild hair where maybe I'm like, I don't know. Maybe when I get back to traveling and I'm stuck at an airport, I might sit there and type one up or something. But other than that, I probably won't. But like I said, if there's something somebody want to know, I can hang out a little bit, answer a couple of questions if anybody's curious. But otherwise, nah, like I said, well, we will slowly wrap things up here. I'll grab a snack or a bite to eat because I have leftover Christmas food, which, by the way, I love leftover holiday food. That ain't never a bad thing to me. So like, I'm on board with that all the time. We still have like half a ham that I will be eating that for like a week and not be mad on any day. But yeah, other than that, I'll probably be working a video late tonight, and you'll just have normal content tomorrow. So yeah, I can't decide if I'm gonna do standard or commander yet for tomorrow. It kind of depends on what I dig up of my cards or what I see that I want to put together. But otherwise, yeah, this was a good time. I would like to do this again. Just make I don't know, maybe make this a weekly stream or something. But I'm going to try to fit it into my schedule as things change up going into the new year. I have some plans, some thoughts, if you will. But we'll see how things work out. But yeah, this was fun. I probably won't get to play this deck for weeks, which is amusing after I put it together. But it's at least entertains me, the idea of it. And it's cool to have it available just to change things up. So I feel like if I get to play with some group that has like mid-level power decks or something, this would be a fun one to toss in there and play with somebody. But all right, y'all, I think that's it. We're going to wrap things up. As always, wherever you're watching, whenever you're watching, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I hope you and your family and your loved ones enjoy the rest of your holidays. If you're celebrating something else that's not Christmas, take care of yourselves. If you still get time off work, enjoy it. Be safe. You know, if you can, get your shots or whatever with like COVID and the flu and everything else out there. And just remember to be awesome and be awesome to each other.